I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd seen a deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire echoed across the boards. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden, and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still somehow I'm considering when the next game's not, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I'll always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your alibis. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true.
Welcome everyone. 'Tis another day of gaming discussion, debate, talking about stuff. It's gonna be good. How are you guys? How's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Hopefully you're doing good. It is a blistery, chilly day here in Colorado. Not complaining. The last 2 days, they've been doing the update to like our internet service here that I've been telling you guys about for a few weeks. And so the last couple of days, they've been like digging trenches. And I mean, I mentioned this offhand on stream, but like over the summer, I had a landscaping company redo my whole front lawn. Because when we bought the house, they had to replace the sewer line. And thankfully we figured that out before we bought the house. So the old owner had to pay for it, but they dug like, I don't know how deep a sewer line needs to go, but it's freaking deep, dude. Like, how deep is a sewer line? Typically 8 to 12 feet deep. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom, 8 to 12 feet deep. So they did that. So we redid the landscaping and everything. And then this company's coming in and they're adding fiber to the neighborhood, which is awesome. Cause I've told you guys already, right now I have to pay like $300 a month for like 40 megabit per second up. And I usually can get like 1,000 down or like a gigabit down. Some peak times it drops to like 700, but you know, they charge an arm and a leg. But this new company is bringing in fiber. It's going to be awesome. But as a result, they have to run all these cables and conduit under the sidewalks and under the roads. And part of it also goes through everybody's front lawns, because that's where like the easement is. So they have to dig out like probably every 40 feet, 40, 50 feet, huge, like 5-6 foot pits that are like 3 to 4 feet wide. And they have to do this in everybody's front lawns. Now, some people in my neighborhood, they just have dead grass. So yeah, cut it out, dig down. They put the dead grass back on top. It's fine. Where they're digging through in my lawn is like right where we got all these new, like these like big rocks. We have like the grass comes off there, and then we have like these little flowers, and then we have these reeds that go up, and they just like demolished it. Now, thankfully, they say if we damage your property as part of installing this, let us know and we'll pay for the repairs. But I'm like, we just did this. It hurts. It hurts a lot. Got fiber a few years ago, totally worth it. Yeah, I mean, and you guys know I was talking about needing to sign up for like Starlink or something. Because this other company, they jacked up the prices and then like, oh, we're sorry. We're sorry you feel that way. That's really too bad. But we're going to charge you $300 a month if you have a problem with it. $300 a month. And I'm sure they were only going to raise the prices more. And they're like, also, if you want out of it, you can, but you got to sign up for a 3-year plan. I'm like, 3-year plan? Are you kidding? But they were not. They were not kidding. They were being quite serious indeed. But here we are. Here we are now, rocking and rolling. Okay. Anyway, it seems like it's going to be better. Yeah, Luke's holes are being stuffed with fiber. Yeah, I'm so ready, dude. The $45 for fiber, 800, 200, me from Seattle. Dude, that I'd kill for that. And maybe soon I won't even have to, because we'll just have it. But it was bad. It was crazy. Dry Vice, thank you for the sub, by the way, my friend over on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Blake, gonna go over the new Steam rules for devs today. Ooh. Did anyone do... Ooh, it's a new season pass policy? Is this what it is? Oh, it's like a week old. Crack down on endless delays. If you aren't ready to clearly communicate, you shouldn't offer a season pass. Good on them. That's good. That's funny. Honestly, it's true. It's like, don't sell people something if you're not ready to provide it. Is this in response to the Mortal Kombat stuff? Is that what this is answering? Or did this come out right before that? Because if you didn't hear the Mortal Kombat thing, they apparently... Where is it? I had a tab opened with it. Yeah, here. Future Mortal Kombat 1 DLC canceled after poor expansion sales, it's claimed. So it appears as though future content for Mortal Kombat 1 is ending after Combat Pack 2 wraps up. According to new claims, developer NetherRealm Studios has canceled DLC plans for Combat Pack 3 and second story expansion for the game. And this is apparently after the Chaos Reigns expansion sold poorly. I don't know. I know people that are still playing like Street Fighter. I don't know people who are playing Mortal Kombat. Are any of you guys fighting game players? Is because like I just, it seems to me like it was just they tried to reinvent the wheel unnecessarily, and they did this like, what did they call them, cameos or something, and it just wasn't particularly interesting. Yeah. Isn't that game like crazy monetized? It wasn't that great. Taught me to never pre-order. Yeah. Oh, you're more into Smash. They really messed up with the cameos. Like the cameos, I remember seeing it in the trailers or whatever, and it seemed like an interesting idea. But I mean, I don't envy them. It's got to be damn tough coming up with how you're going to make a fighting game feel familiar enough that seasoned players can get into it, but also feel different enough that it's worth a big upgrade, without being like super anti-consumer by like, okay, yeah, you guys are Street Fighter players or you guys are Mortal Kombat players. Here's the new game. The old game shut off. Like, that would be really sucky. And I'm glad that they don't do that as far as I'm aware. But this is part of it. It's like these companies promise years and years of support. And then because they want the live service money, but then if it doesn't work out, then they just pull the rug and they're like, okay, never mind. But then like the few people who still remained are pissy because, and rightfully so, because they bought into it and it didn't go anywhere. It's sucky. Yeah, lots of Witcher news today. Yeah, we've got Witcher news and we've got Naughty Dog news. Sort of. We'll talk about it. I guess we can lead into that. Avowed discourse is insane already. I don't understand why people are already like, oh no, they've gone woke with it. I'm like, it's total brain rot. I don't know what we're looking at. Is it because there's a woman in the trailer? Is that why we're freaking out? Come on. Like, come on. I think it looks good. Will I play it over and above like the other stuff? I don't know. Drive Ice.
Drive Ice 1 donated $10. Hey, you mentioned how perspective changes how you feel about a game, and that is so true. I recently started playing Greedfall with low expectations and love it. Versus Starfield, had high expectations, which disappointed.
Oh, damn it, it cut off. I gotta fix that. That cut off. Let me pull up the thing. I mean, I agree. Let me see if I can pull up the full message. But I agree that there is an importance with how you approach a game, because if you approach anything, to be fair, and you come at it with high expectations, it's going to be really, really easy to get disappointed. Yeah, which disappointed me so much. I've played it once. Yeah. It's, thank you for the 10, by the way, very generous. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that hype, I think, can be really fun and exciting, but it's also a fantastic way to have an otherwise okay game or pretty good game still disappoint you. Because like I've said 1,000 times, like if you are expecting a 10 and the game comes in and is an 8, even though an 8's still a good game, because it's not what you thought it would be, you're still going to be disappointed, and that's going to taint your time with the game. You're going to be like, it's just not as good as I wanted it to be, even though it's good. You know, I think it's really important to go in, like the old saying is, you know, go in with low expectations and it'll be much harder to be disappointed. And I think that's true, because either way, like, you end up ahead. Yeah, it's not as exciting in the lead up, but you'll go into it and either it's just about as good as you were expecting, so not particularly amazing, in which case you're like, okay, yeah. Or it's better than you expected and you're going to be all the more excited and thrilled. Like, it's just the in my opinion, it's the more reasonable way to go into games. But people also feel like it can spoil the fun of hype and excitement, you know, which I don't think is necessarily wrong, but I think it's something you should avoid, because hype can spoil things for you. They were attacking Avowed's communication director last night on Twitter because it's a trans woman, or she's a trans woman. I mean, to say it being the role, not the person. Oh, I'm not sure what you're saying. But Elon got upset because there were pronoun selections in the character creation menu or whatever. At the end of the day, most people just want to play a good game. If the game is spoiled because of like any political activism on the right, on the left, on the center, whatever, it's going to be a bad game and we'll not play it. But it's why I've said, like, a lot, games like Suicide Squad, games like Concord, games like even Dustborn, they were not bad because Well, let me say this. People didn't buy them. Or the reason people did not buy them was not because of like the woke, whatever. It was because they were garbage games. Like, it's how it works. Like Dustborn is a terrible game. People didn't want to buy it. They didn't play it. Suicide Squad, just not a good game. People didn't buy it. Whether SBI worked on it or not. Same with Dustborn, same with that, same with Saints Row reboot, same with all this. Now, part of the reason they're bad is because of garbage writing, which certainly has something to do with it. When you hired activists to write your games, if they were writers, they would just be writers. They wouldn't be activists, you know, kind of by definition. So I don't know, but the woke thing, it seems like it only applies when we find a game that also is bad, and then it applies. Otherwise, like, people just throw out the term, and then whatever it sticks to, it sticks to. Because like God of War Ragnarok, freaking phenomenal. Love that game. Love that game. Only like tiny notes here and there where I feel like they probably could have done a third game in that trilogy, but like they want to just move on. Because I felt like the ending was kind of rushed. But other than that, phenomenal. And that was another SBI game, but that game rocked. But we just kind of conveniently look past that. Or now they're saying that GTA 6 is going to be, like, what was it, Tim Pool? I think Tim Pool said that he didn't want to play GTA 6 because there was a female protagonist. And he said that that was unrealistic, that women could take down men. It's been a while since I saw the clip, but it's like, okay, then don't buy it. Like, with so much of this stuff, I'm just like, thumbs up, cool story. Do you want a medal? Like, I don't, okay. Like, I'm so tired. I just want to talk about games. I want to play good games. That's what I want, okay? If you want a medal, whatever. You know? Pat on the head. Am I going to get Avowed? Yeah, eventually I'm going to play Avowed. Right now it's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And then like Avowed is between that, AC Shadows, which I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discourse around that, positive or negative. So I'll be making videos about that. But Kingdom Come, AC Shadows, Avowed, and then Monster Hunter. And then there's also the Yakuza game in there too. Like, they picked the week and a half, 2 week period that is like the busiest of the entire year as of right now. And I don't know where to pick, you know, where to pinpoint my time. Let's see. Brendan Lucas, thank you for the 5. I doubt anyone will be doing press ups over pronouns and Avowed, but it's the quiet removal of, hold on, it's cutting off. Why is the text cutting off? Is it because I'm too zoomed in? But it's the quiet removal of tropes and situations that were in games 10 years ago. I just, at the end of the day, if games are well written, I think players connect with them better. And like all of this ham-fisted stuff, there's ways to write in characters in a diverse and inclusive cast in a way that's well done, that's intelligent, that I think is respectful to the audience and to the people you're trying to represent. And then there's what we get in games like, you know, Dustborn or something, where like you can tell so clearly what they're trying to do. And that's why it turns players off. And that's why at the end of the day, again, as I've said a bajillion times, I'm not too worried about like activist participation in this stuff in the long term, because they tend to show their hand pretty easily and pretty quickly because they're not good writers. And so every project that they do like a lot of writing on tanks, because even without knowledge, like I think Forspoken and all those games, they blew up and imploded well before SBI was in the common parlance. And I don't even know if they worked on that one specifically, but that was an example of terrible writers. Same with Saints Row reboot, same with all these. So bad writing will be very, very readily apparent whether you try to hide it or not, or whether they go through a different firm or not, or whatever. Like, bad writing, it's like a reflective vest when you're walking down the highway at night. Like, everybody can see it, everybody knows what it is. Just immediately we know what's up. Michael H, thank you for the 10. I've watched hundreds of hours of YouTube Premium, so I figured I owed you something. Oh, well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the 10. That's very generous. Cuban Link, thank you for that 10. Hey, Luke, hope all is well. Been a long time watcher since the good old Luke days. I'm hoping we get some good news soon about the Iron Man game from EA Motive. It's been quiet. LOL, take care. Dude, there's a lot of games that are quiet right now. And thank you for being a long time watcher. That's crazy. But like, even the Wonder Woman game is probably the one that I'm most confused by, because this is a game that they've been working on for what, 7 years? Shadow of War was what, 2017, I think? So they've been working on this for like 7 years. 7. Shadow of War, I think, took them like 3, maybe 4 years, all told. They've been working on it for ages. And it's going to use the Nemesis system. It's going to do all this stuff, but like a 7+ year single player game, because they've stressed repeatedly it's not a live service game, because that's what people thought they saw in the job postings and stuff. You know. So there's a lot of games that are just kind of sitting in this weird limbo spot where it seems like they should be done, or they should be ready to show, but they're just nowhere to be found, you know? Same with maybe another studio would be like Days Gone's developer, Sony Bend. We know that they, however, worked on some other stuff. They helped some different Sony studios. There were rumors they even helped with like Concord a little bit. So there's just a lot of studios kind of like that are just in limbo, but hopefully we see something from them soon. But yeah, that's definitely that Iron Man game, Wonder Woman. For a long time, Dragon Age was one of those where it was like, you guys have been working for a long time. Where is it? You know? Brendan, thank you for the 10. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 seems fishy to me. Why a Czech protagonist? 20 years ago, protagonists were all from Austria. Rumor is they were going to make the Hungarian sympathetic politics gone mad. What? Hmm? My brain. I think it's a European joke. As an American. What? I'm gonna need a translation. I'm sorry. Is it because Czech, so Czechoslovakia, and then like versus Austria to make the Hungarian sympathetic? Yeah, I'm gonna need. Do I need to like copy this and be like post it on r/explain the joke? Is that what I need to do? Oh man. Maybe we need a history lesson. Okay, let's see. Explain this joke to me. Here's the breakdown of this delightful little jest. The setting, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Okay, yeah, it's a video game. The original game, known for its focus on historical accuracy with predominantly Czech cast of characters, which was somewhat controversial for its lack of diversity reflecting the era's demographics. The Czech protagonist, the humor here lies in the exaggeration that choosing a Czech protagonist is somehow odd or unexpected, playing on the fact that the first game already had one. It's a jab at the notion that the game developers might be expected to change historical settings or characters for modern appeal or diversity, which clashes with the game's historical authenticity theme. Okay. Austrian protagonist 20 years ago. This part of the joke pokes fun at the idea that there was a time when all protagonists in games or stories were supposedly from Austria, which is of course not true, but serves to highlight the shift in narrative from focus from Germanic to Slavic in games like Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's an ironic commentary on how game settings and characters' origins have evolved over time. Hungarian sympathy. The bit about making Hungarians sympathetic is humorous because in the original game, Hungarians and their Cuman allies were often portrayed as antagonists. The idea that they might have been made sympathetic in the sequel satirizes the original trend, or the modern trend, in storytelling where traditionally villainous groups or nations might be reimagined. Okay, and then politics gone mad. Punchline suggesting changes in character nationality portrayal driven by some kind of political agenda rather than narrative or historical accuracy. It's a playful nod to how games can be perceived as platforms for political or cultural statements, whether intended by the developers or not. Oh, man. Game takes place in the Holy Roman Empire. Czechs are a subject race. Austrians are a ruling race. Hungarians bad. There you go. Boom. See that? That makes sense. That makes sense. Boom. Got it. Understood. We get it, Brendan. You're the smart one here. God. Jeez, man. The distinguished dragon. Thank you for the 5. Have you been interested in trying a randomized Pokemon Nuzlocke? Nuzlocke? I'm not sure what that is. Is something like that your cup of tea? Considering I don't know what a randomized Pokemon Nuzlocke is, I don't know if that is my cup of tea. If that's the like card game, is that what you're referring to? Nuzlocke? It sounds like a bad word, honestly. Higher level difficulty while playing Pokemon games. The playthrough is often called a Nuzlocke or Nuzlocke. Pokemon variety, not normally truths, promote bonds with players. Oh, so it's just like a randomized run of a Pokemon game. Oh. So I thought it was something way more specific than that. Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten that into, like, I grew up in a household that thought Pokemon were demonic when I was a kid. So I was not allowed to play Pokemon or anything like that. Do you guys remember a video we watched years ago? Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. Look at this old Luke Stevens live clip. Old logo, everything. Pastor says Pokemon corrupts your soul. This is the kind of stuff that I heard about all the time.
Pocket monster, the spiral. And it stands for what? Male fertility. It's supposed to be able to mesmerize and hypnotize its enemies. This character over here is called Mewtwo. Every time that you see Mewtwo, he's in this pose. 3 fingers. It means hail Satan. Cute little one. Everybody, okay, everybody go, oh, come on. His tail. It's a lightning bolt. And it's a Satanic Z. The Pokemon trading card game is a new collectible card game that is made and distributed by Wizards of the Coast. What is a wizard? Male practitioner of black magic. Cute little.
Like, this sounds ridiculous. But growing up, this was like, So, and whenever people are like, oh, are you really into Pokemon? I'm like, I probably could have been. But we were not raised to play Pokemon. This is what the people at like my church when I was a little kid, this is what was often said about these games. This, Harry Potter, certainly freaking Twilight, anything like that.
Little Pokemon. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Oh, I know, he's cute, isn't he? Little Satanic tail. Let the camera get a view of that. These pocket monsters are creatures that inhabit the world with humans. Gotta catch them all. You don't need mom. You don't need dad. You don't need grandparents. You don't need aunts and uncles. You don't need school. And you probably don't even need a church. Because you're a master. this rap song that's played over again. And it says, I will
Yeah, because rap is evil. That was the other thing. It's even worse because it's a rap song.
travel across the land, searching far and wide, each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. And then it's enchanted to them. Gotta catch them all. Here's the next character. This is Misty. Look at this. If this was actually clear, you'd see that that's a halter top. It stops right there.
Oh, no.
And she's got short shorts on. She's
No.
headstrong and stubborn,
God forbid a woman headstrong. No.
constantly arguing with Ash.
She
Typical
argues?
woman.
Oh, my God.
And stubborn, constantly arguing with Ash. Typical woman.
What? Dude. And this was pretty standard for the Bible Belt. Like, this was pretty standard for the Bible Belt in the 90s and like early 2000s.
God forgive me. All right. Jesse, and the other one's called James. And listen what it says about them. It says, prepare for trouble, make it double. Jesse and James are an evil gang looking to steal rare Pokemon. In the program, they're also prone to cross-dressing.
No.
And look here, this is Mew over here, M-E-U. He's kind of cute. And this is Mewtwo over here, complete with his satanic salute. And if you notice, that pose is always given with the left hand. 618 children had suffered convulsions, vomiting, irritated eyes, and other symptoms after watching Pokemon.
It's possessing them, dude. It's possessing them. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man. It like, with this stuff, this is December 17th, 1997 is this article from Tokyo, CNN Tokyo. But it's always been interesting to me, like the idea that, you know, nowadays we know of like epilepsy and stuff. That's pretty well known. Like strobing lights or different visual stimuli can also cause epileptic seizures and stuff. But back in the day, they were just like, yep, demons. It's demons. Kick them out of the city, throw them in that pit over there with the others. Like, that was just the approach that was typically taken. And with this, I don't know if maybe that's part of it, is, you know, epileptic attacks or seizures from like the intro sequence of the show. But I love how it's just critical thought. Could we find like a practical reason for this? Nah, demons. It's gotta be.
There's something unusual about that. They don't know why it happened. Remember I said that they get their energy through energy balls. Cute little Pikachu, and he's being energized by an energy ball. And now you notice he's not quite so cute anymore.
Not the
and his
balls.
little satanic tail is really erect.
Oh, God.
They actually show the energy balls that is used to make these monsters bigger and better. Look at
So the balls make it bigger and better and erect. Oh, man. And you let your children play this.
the yellow. What do you see?
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt. Look here. All-seeing eye.
I'm just saying, for somebody that thinks that this is demonic, he sure owns a lot of Pokemon stuff. I'm starting to think that he actually like really loves the game and the show and everything. He's just like, I'm doing research, honey. Leave me alone.
Up here is the clenched fist, symbol for rebellion, anarchy. Powerful witchcraft symbol where my finger is. Down here is another powerful witchcraft symbol. And down at the
leaf?
bottom here, this blue ball down in here is the symbol for energy of water. Earth, wind, and fire, the three basic elements of all witchcraft. There's a
Also like existence, but whatever.
war going on right now for the children because Satan wants them really bad. Got
See, this, at least this was kind of fun. Like, this guy's so down the rabbit hole that it's like past the point of being entertaining, you know? Like, when it's some people, when they're like getting a little silly and a little wacky, it's just sad. You know, it just gets sad. Like, it's like the if you've ever seen those videos of people who think they're being gang stalked, you know, where they're like, I saw 3 white pickup trucks today. That's the CIA watching me. They always drive white pickups, but they also drive red sedans and blue SUVs, sometimes white SUVs too, and occasionally gray. And it's like, okay, I think we're having an episode. This isn't even like, this is sad. Like, this isn't entertaining anymore. This is sad. This, though, is thoroughly entertaining. Whatever this, like, whatever's going on, this is very funny. And I kind of wish, maybe I shouldn't wish this, but I kind of hope that we get to like another wave of Puritan outrage over this type of thing. Cause I find it so funny. I find it so funny. Nowadays, it's all just kind of boring. It's just, video games, it's not a great use of your time. That's a boring thing. That's a boring problem to have with video games. Have this kind of problem. This is fun. This is like, see? 3 fingers outstretched. It means Hail Satan. Like, I just so confidently, that's definitely
Gotta
what
catch
it
them
means.
all. Gotta get them while they're young. Gotta induct satanic doctrine. For me and my family, we are going to serve the Lord. Not in the ways of these Pokemon, not in the ways of witchcraft or Satan worship. Look at this. Pokemon Psychic Surprise. Look at this. This creature right here is called Haunter. Little Pikachu down here, he's crying his eyes out. He's not cute, and even Ash doesn't look cute anymore. Those energy balls represent that the Pokemon get their power by supernatural occult ability. Abracadabra. The Kadabra character has a pentagram on his forehead, and he has SSS across his chest. Satan's solemn servant. The Kadabra.
Dude, I want to know what they're smoking, because it's got to be some good stuff, right, man? Like, this is potent. This is potent. Like, this is, what's the term? Pareidolia, I think is what it is. It's humans' ability to see patterns in everything. You know, you look at the clouds, you see a turtle. That's pareidolia. You can identify patterns all through life. It's something people are very, very good at. Human beings are very good at. But it also can go haywire sometimes, like this, where you start to see patterns that are just not really there. Like, oh, there's S symbols. What was it? Satan's solemn servant or something?
Across his chest. Satan's solemn servant. The Kadabra.
And he's just, it's so confident. That's what this means. Yeah, that's what this means. Oh, yeah, dude.
Ice1 donated $3. Reminds me of the Monster Energy lady.
Yeah.
She went on a similar spiel.
Yeah, where like, because the M is 3 lines dug in, they found like old, was it Hebrew, I think? Or Aramaic or something. But that stood for the number 6, and therefore it was 666 on the Monster Energy cans. And so if you drank Monster Energy drinks, you were also participating in Satanism. That was one thing we also heard was whether my parents believed at the time or not that it was satanic to drink it, they thought that it was at the very least like they were using that to help sell it. I think is
Josh
is part of it.
donated $10. The modern version of this is all those neckbeards crying about games going woke, losing it over pronouns, and all the other nonsense. We look at those guys the same way, LMAO.
I think that there's with a lot of these games where like I don't even see what is being referenced. Like what was the one ended up being pretty good. It was like maybe a year and a half ago where they were also calling that one woke, and then it came out and it was solid. Or like even Stellar Blade recently. I was playing Stellar Blade last night. It reminded me of how that same group turned on Stellar Blade after a little while because they did a patch where I think a few of the costumes or outfits had like extra pieces of cloth in the cleavage to, I think they said it was for structural reasons. Like they wanted to retain the structural integrity of the outfit or whatever. but it seemed like they were covering up a little bit. And people started saying that this was the infection of Sony. Sony is turning because they want to get the money from BlackRock, and that's because of this, and they're doing that to Stellar Blade because of it. And it's like, or maybe a designer just thought that it looked better. Maybe that's what it like sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes there's not a big conspiracy. Sometimes they just thought a piece of cloth there looked better than having the boobies fully out. I know that's hard to fathom, that maybe an outfit designer thought that was better. But that sometimes that happens.
Abra character is always pictured on the card with his left hand giving the satanic salute. Look at this.
This was the other thing. I grew up in like half my childhood in Texas. You know the Longhorns, Texas Longhorns? Like this is the this thing that they all do. They all go like this for the Longhorns, and in the stadium everybody goes, you know, "Whoa, Longhorns." That's what you do. At one point, we went to the Texas State Fair, and of course, lots of Longhorn fans were there. And we asked one of our like church friends. I remember I must have been like 6 or 7 years old. I was little, but I remember my parents asked one of our church friends if they wanted to come with us, and they said, "No, we're not going there. It's a hive of Satanists." And my dad kind of chuckled and was like, "What?" He's like, "All those Longhorn fans. They're devil horns. Every time they chant Longhorn, they're worshiping the devil." Well, we're gonna go get some cotton candy. Like, but that's why because I was raised in all of this, I'm like, I feel for these types of people, because like imagine living your life where literally like you cannot go anywhere because of like everything is a satanic conspiracy. Like you can't do anything. The entire world is some big conspiracy against you. You know, like it would be a miserable way to live. And I feel for the people that are this in. Like, to be clear, my family has come out of this. They're not crazy like this anymore. But having grown up in it, like there's plenty of people in the, especially southern United States, who still act and believe and are like this. And I feel for them because like for the kids that are trapped in that, they don't know any better, but they're being like conditioned to think that the world is this gigantic cesspool, and it's just it's really sad.
Quebec teen stabbed at school over Pokemon cards. This was in Montreal.
They've become possessed.
Look at this. The woman teacher noticed that they were paying more attention to Pokemon than they were her. So she waited for the deck to get back to this young man, and then she walked over and grabbed that deck out of his hand. He got up and struck her dead in the face with his fists. This stuff is nothing more than...
Just wait till he finds out about cell phones and what kids will do for those.
Unadulterated witchcraft. And I have to wonder sometime when a grade school child is going to do what the Weeping Bell Razor Leaf Pokemon card says. It says this: it spits out poison powder to immobilize the enemy and then finishes the enemy with a spray of acid. Remember that the whole goal in all of these role-playing games, and especially in Pokemon, is to become the master.
So I tried digging up on this guy like 2 years ago when we did this look at this originally. And my understanding is that he was like a traveling speaker that specialized in this. Have any of you guys ever seen the documentary? It was the like murders at Robin Hood Hills? It was the West Memphis 3 documentary that was on HBO. Did you guys watch that? I forget the name of the documentary. podcast today. No. It was documentary trials, documentaries here. Paradise Lost, the child murders at Robin Hood Hills. This one. In this, I don't recommend, like, this documentary is extremely difficult to watch. It's about like a triple homicide that happened in West Memphis in the early 90s, like 1993. And like they pull no punches. I mean, it's a documentary where they're filming the trial of these 3 boys who were charged with the murders of 3 other boys. These are the 3 accused. And it's in like the deep South in West Memphis. And the whole thing is like, because they make it out like they were only charged because they liked listening to Metallica, and it was in the middle of the Satanic Panic. And there's a guy that they bring into the trial during that documentary filming, where he was just like some dude that claimed to be an expert in witchcraft, and he had no idea what he was talking about. He had his PhD through a mail order catalog. No, I'm not joking. But those are the types of people that were brought in. And this guy that did the Pokemon talk was similar to that, where he was somebody that would just come in and you could hire to come to your church and give a speech, which is pretty insane. But back during the Satanic Panic, that was the whole thing. But that documentary, again, it is not for the faint of heart, because it, like, they show everything, crime scene photos and all, and it is not for the faint of heart. It's pretty tough to watch. Here, I found the clip. This is the doctor that specializes in Satanism, okay? Just watch this, and then we'll get back to gaming, I swear.
Several series of papers.
Did you ever fill out a little flyer like this
No, sir.
that says,
So this is the defense attorney talking to the prosecutorial expert who claims to be able to say that this was definitely a witchcraft-involved Satanistic ritual.
call toll-free for information on how to become a doctor? This is a mail-order college, isn't it? What classes did you take?
I told you, I answered that before, none.
You did not take any classes. Between 1982 and 1984, when you became a PhD, what classes did you take?
None.
None.
Like, in the US, not that long ago, they were bringing in as experts for the state, dudes who got PhDs through mail order catalogs, didn't take a single class. Like, they filled out an application, they paid $100 and they got a PhD certificate and started saying they were a doctor. And these people sent people, in part, they sent people to jail for the rest of their lives because they claimed that they were part of a satanic operation. Like, it's madness. Now, I happen to think, go watch that Matt Orchard video. He does a really good job of describing why and how, but I think it's pretty clear that they were guilty, but they were found guilty for the wrong reasons. But that's a separate topic for True Crime Tuesdays, if we ever do that again. Bite size. I want a doctorate in Satanism. You can get it from the School of Cobra.
That's most definitely what's up.
I bet he'd offer one. Imagine one of those certificates. If you're like, hey, Cobes, I'll pay you $100 if you can just sign this document and like stamp it with the wax seal with one of his rings. You gotta be careful. Don't touch the wax seal, though. You'll get hepatitis, I'm sure. It's I would never touch those rings, man. Oh, they've seen some stuff. You want to be a Cobra demon? Don't lie. What is it? It's Cobratin. It's been a long time since I saw his explanation of his religion. It's like Cobratin and Cobra. I can't remember the details. Yeah. So I need to see like a full documentary on just Cobra's religious beliefs, because it's insane. Cobratin, Cobricious, and Cobrero. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah, King Cobra, man, what an acid trip that. I miss those old school videos because when he was all like, I don't know if it was Adderall or what, when he was hyped up on caffeine and his brain was going a mile a second, like he would just throw out so much crap. It was so entertaining. And now it takes him like 15 minutes to say a sentence. Oh, man. At the very least, we can all agree, praise Cobra's magic. Yeah. I kind of cover his religion in part one of my documentary series. He was on a few meds. Yeah, I remember watching that one of yours. I think that's the only time I've seen anybody really break it down and describe it, because it's wild. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. I kind of wish he'd get back into it. Imagine if that was the new like post-Nal saga, if he like got way back into it, he started wearing a funny hat like the Pope, and man, that would be great. Somebody should send him that, sign it, say it's from Ozzy. He'd probably wear it. Anyway, who we're talking about, sorry, it's if you go to Bite Size, who's in chat, if you go to his channel, he's got a ton of amazing documentaries on this guy, King Cobra JFS. He's a guy that lives in Casper, Wyoming, fairly close to where I live. And he's like a local legend. Like he's just a very eccentric, wild dude that's been around for like over a decade making YouTube videos. But there's a ton of lore around him. It's pretty insane, but people will report. They're like, drive through Casper, Wyoming, and they're like, ooh, I saw him at the gas station. And yeah, oh, I spotted Cobra walking down the street. It's pretty funny. It's crazy. Yeah. I think you have new viewers that need to see Cobra. we gotta ease them into it. I use a soundbite. This is Cobra.
That's most definitely what's up.
I use a soundbite all the time. That's Cobra. Praise Cobra's magic. Indeed. He sells wands and he knows real magic. Yeah, he what did he think he did? He claimed that he actually, like, he's the one that defeated ISIS because he used his black magic to do that. Yeah, somebody tricked him and and got him to think that he got a letter from Trump.
Dirk Wrinkler the Stinkler. I also got a letter from the White House. I had to cover up my address for obvious reasons, but there you go. All right, so let's take a gander here and see what we got. It's in print,
I just love that the font is like size 36. It's massive. And he totally bought it.
And gentlemen.
So basically he said at one point that I don't know if he's like an undiagnosed schizophrenic or something, but he said he heard on the TV people say praise Cobra's magic at a press conference where Trump said that they took out leaders of ISIS and stuff. And then he's like, yeah, so I basically did it. And so a troll sent him a letter that he claimed was from Donald Trump, and he totally bought it, which was quite funny. Anyway, let's shift gears for all of you that are here for gaming stuff. Sorry. Where was I with this? Anthony, thank you for the 10. Hey, Luke, do you think Kingdom Come Deliverance will have a better visual aid for the bow? I couldn't hit shit with that thing. Really want to get into it, but the combat had me fall off. I do think it's improved. They've added crossbows and stuff like that, so they have overhauled a lot of it. It's still going to be, to be very clear, it's still going to be clunky as hell. That's not going to change. You're not going to start playing it and be like, whoa, this is super tight combat. It's just, that's not what they do. Yeah. Whatever you do, Luke, don't tell them about his sex calls. That's something that comes much later. Yeah. That comes much later when you're already hooked. Then you get exposed to all that. And the green shorts. That's when you're in deep. Where was I? I just read that one. Just read that one. Okay. Blake, thank you for the 2. Do you remember when No Russian made the news? Yeah, when that was the most scandalous thing. I do sincerely wonder what GTA 6 is going to be like. I still think it's going to be amazing, but I do think it's going to be way toned down from what people might expect, because they've had reports and stuff where they said they cleaned up like their frat bro culture, where they cleaned up a lot of the like, there were problems with like pretty severe sexism and stuff where people would make really horrible comments that would get you fired anywhere else. And all those people got booted out. And some people point to that and they're like, see, they've gone woke. I'm like, that's not, at least as far as I'm aware, that's not woke. Like firing people for being pests and menaces and creating hostile work environments, that's not going woke. That's called being a mature and reasonable business. But I do think there's going to be, like, it's going to be more toned down. I do think so. I don't think, for example, like, I don't think we'll have as many of the, like, crazy out of left field jokes made in the, like, radio stations, for example. Just like, I mean, a lot of more raunchy or edgy comedy wouldn't fly today in movie theaters and stuff. So I think it's going to be more modernized, and I think it's going to be more toned down, but I don't think that necessarily means it's going to be bad. It's just going to be different. Yeah. It's crazy to think that something as risky as No Russian was in COD. Yeah, dude, I mean, it's pretty insane. Nowadays, they wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Especially being owned by Microsoft nowadays, I don't think they'd want to risk anything like that. Happy Thanksgiving, dude. Thank you. Hi, Bidet. Thank you for the 5, and thank you for those well wishes. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well. Michael, thank you for that 5. Cephas Von Dionysus, thank you for that 10. God invented Pokemon. Explains why it's so fun and why it has the demonic magic, because it's powered by divine forces co-opted by the devil. Shira, thank you for that too. Think Diablo is panicking from Path of Exile 2 reveal stream. They're probably not happy about it. Yeah, because everything I've seen about Path of Exile 2 looks fantastic. And I'm sure if anybody's still playing Diablo, they're really wondering if they should pop over and try that. Being free to play also definitely makes it more approachable. Tenacious, thank you for that. Remember last year when you said you see perhaps a Ubisoft Renaissance in 24. Lol, it's even worse than we thought. Yeah, I really thought that they really weren't gonna screw it up this bad. But I do think that you know, whenever you try to give Ubisoft like a little bit of that benefit of the doubt, they're just like, okay, hold my coffee, hold my latte, and they blow you away. Because it's never ceased to amaze me how Yves Guillemot can say that he's learned the lesson and then just continue doing the same exact thing. Did someone just say Red Dead Redemption 2 had hints of wokeness? Probably. I mean, the problem is with the term is that it just doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, it's been thrown around so much to apply to so many different things. It doesn't have a clear definition. People use it to say that cyberpunk is bad, or people use it to say that Dustborn is bad for the same reasons. And it's like, two very different games. And I mean, you've seen like the my problem with it is ultimately it whittles down to like Puritan tests, where if you don't pass the Puritan test of not having this, not having that, not doing this, not doing that, then your game, we can't play it, can't support it, can't talk about it, it's terrible. But I think pretty clearly and transparently, those things don't necessarily outline what makes for a quality game. Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War Ragnarok. SBI consulted on that. I don't think they took much of their advice, but they consulted on that game. It was all over their website, and that game was freaking fantastic. So clearly, they can touch stuff, and it doesn't always turn to garbage. Sometimes maybe, but not all the time. The games that are garbage because they're garbage. Sometimes not that crazy, not that complicated. Yeah, if we wake up and the next sequel to God of War is Kratos, and that's like, I don't know, Kratos looks like whatever her name is, the chick playing Snow White, then yeah, I'll have a problem. And then I'll be like, okay, I think we've gotten a little silly. But until then, I think we're okay. Rachel Ziegler, that's it. Yeah, imagine if Rachel Ziegler comes in and it's like, we do this my way. Starts randomly singing in a really bad Southern accent. Man, that would be funny. Now I kind of want that to happen. Luis Montorio, thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch. 8 months. Ooh, baby. That's most definitely what's up.
That's most definitely what's up.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's talk about this. I've been bouncing around it a ton. Also, quick shout out, not really enough to make a whole segment on, but Shuhei Yoshida is retiring from Sony after 31 years starting in January. Says he wants to still be in the industry, but is just retiring from like his corporate role. I think he's probably going to do something like Reggie Fils-Aimé. That's what I think this is. Reggie now, he left Nintendo and he now does like, yeah, first leader in residence at Cornell's Charles H. Dyson School of Applied Economics and Management in 2019. He's been on the advisory board for Dyson, board of directors of the New York Video Game Critics Circle, managing partner in Brentwood Growth Partners, an equity firm in Kirkland, Washington. He basically got out of the corporate life, which was really busy and hands-on, and he popped out and just started doing like private equity kind of corporate bigwig stuff, which you can make a ton of money in, and it's way easier than running Nintendo of America. And so he popped out and he's been very, very happy, living his best life. And I think that that's probably what Shuhei does, is he just gets like the easier, more calm, laid back life without any of the big stresses of running a massive corporation. So that's my interpretation of what he's doing, is he's just like, I want to take my foot off the pedal. I want to just go. And I mean, surely companies will be hiring him to come in and offer advice. And, you know, if you watch the Raising Kratos documentary, he was the guy that was talking about how the original prototypes of God of War that he played, he did not like. And he came in and he offered tons of notes, and they had to make a bunch of changes based on his stuff. Like, it was pretty hardcore, but he knows what he's talking about. And maybe part of this is he's not thrilled with where they're going right now. And he's like, I just want to go live an easier life, make tons of money. Why not? And I don't blame him. Like 31 years in corporate. You've climbed the ladder to the top. Now you want to just go chill, like making tons of money, doing like a quarter of the work. Way better. Way better. Oh yeah, we've got that. We'll talk about this. Okay. We got lots to go through. I got to run through CDPR stuff because CDPR had their little investor call. And there's some interesting tidbits to go through with that. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, a package is here. I've got a sign for the package. I will be right back. I will go get this. If this is what I think it is, I might be able to open it on stream if it's what I think it is. But I will, we'll play Jacob's Concord's Dead song real quick. I'll be back. Give me like a minute. I just got to go sign for it. Okay.
Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay. And characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes. And also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-da, boop. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats
Ate his face.
That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
True. What a banger. Again, well done on that, Jacob. It's not the package I thought it was. It's a boring package with boring stuff in it, so oh well. But maybe that other package comes anyway later. Until then, let's talk about CDPR. Finally, let's do it. MMORPG Al, thank you for the 5. Hope you and the family have a great Thanksgiving. Do you think you'll get a review code for GTA 6? No, I don't think hardly any individual creators will get codes. I don't think they want any sort of potential leaks. I don't think they want to deal with any potential problems with any of that. I really don't think so. I really don't think so. Maybe they give it to a couple of the really, really big guys. Maybe they give SkillUp a review code, and they'll probably give Jeff Keighley one for some reason, even though nobody cares. I've never heard anybody who's I wasn't going to buy the game, but Jeff Keighley said he liked it while eating a bag of Doritos for some reason and drinking a Mountain Dew. It's really strange, but after I heard him say he liked it, then I bought it. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. So, but they'll still give him one anyways. So I think they'll be very, very locked down. I think they'll be very locked down. Did they give codes for Red Dead? Very selectively. I'm trying to remember like who was... ...6 years ago. Was this a launch review? November 12th, 2018. Didn't it come out October? Or was this a launch review? I don't actually know. Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, it came out October 26th. So even like Skillip was smaller back then, sure, but like I don't think they were sending out review codes to casual YouTubers or like smaller YouTubers. They'll send them out to like the big guys like IGN, GameSpot, places like that, but frankly, they don't need to send it to people like us. They don't need to. You know, they'll be fine. Where's the intro Starfield song from? That's another one I made with Suno. Suno AI. Layman Gaming back then too. Dude, there were a handful of big channels back in that 2017-18 era that just are gone today. I've told you guys before about like Clean Prince Gaming. Let's see, Layman Gaming. That's the Daily Show. What was the other one? It was the two British guys. You know what I'm talking about? The two British guys doing gaming news. Do you guys remember what I mean? The Rad Brad got one? Yeah, but he's gigantic. Oh, are they Welsh? Yeah, Rad Brad is going to get whatever he wants. Like, but also Rad Brad does a lot of sponsored videos. So like a lot of his stuff. Yeah, like this is sponsored. Sony sponsored him to do the Let's Play. So he's different. Like he'll probably do a sponsored video where they pay him to play it or something. But this is the thing. There's different lists, and then we'll talk about CDPR. I swear to God, I'm gonna finally like do it. There's different lists though, and this is what you have to watch. Like there's the kind of reviewers. Okay, they're on one list. There's the like streamers. We'll just do stream. There's the streamers, and they're on their own list, okay? And then there's like the YouTubers, and then there's like short form, we'll just say SF. And these are all their kind of own lists. And then there's maybe cutoffs or even like special priority for the big guys on each of these, okay? So short form for the last few years has been the priority, where they will throw tons of money at short form stuff. I told you guys, like, I know TikTokers that were paid $10,000+ for a 60-second TikTok. Just saying, guys, I tried the new crazy Lego Horizon game, and it's the best thing I've ever played. Here's 5 things about it. Get ready. And it's total nonsense. Like, they probably didn't even play the game. One of those guys that told me he made that much money on one of these sponsored videos, he openly told me, he's like, I don't really like playing games, but it's what gets the clicks. It's like, I like the clicks and the trips and clicks. It's like, I like getting flown out places at the company's expense, and I like how well the videos do, so that's what I do. And so that's where a lot of the money's been. It's starting to dry up. A lot. Not just because there's the risk of a potential ban. Now it looks like Trump probably doesn't ban it, but it just doesn't translate. Like Ubisoft spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on short form promotions for like Avatar and for Star Wars Outlaws. Didn't go anywhere. Clearly didn't help the game. Tons of wasted money. Because short form stuff it's short form. Even if it's sponsored, it goes in one ear out the other. So that money's drying up. And so a lot of the money is being poured back into like streamers and like YouTubers that are not considered reviewers. But this is the thing. When you're considered a reviewer, you're on a different list than the streamers. And somebody like Rad Brad fits onto like this kind of threshold where he kind of does both. He fits into both categories. So they'll sponsor a streamer / YouTuber to play it for the exposure, but they won't necessarily give it to as many reviewers because that's seen as riskier. You know, it's like we can give it to a YouTuber to do like an I tried style video where it's like, this isn't a review. We just want you to show it to your audience, check it out and review it later. Sure. But just give them like a taste of it. And those videos, like it's just about getting it out there into the public domain and let the reviewers do the reviewing. But they're going to be very cutthroat with who actually gets it with GTA. Like they just don't need to bother, you know. If you buy games based on a TikTok, you deserve it at that point. Yeah, it's a very young audience for one. And it's also YouTube, or rather TikTok views are like Monopoly money. There's a lot of it. Doesn't mean anything. Like I've got TikToks that have done 4 million, 7 million views on one. Made almost no impact whatsoever. Whereas I can have a YouTube video that does 500,000 views and I'll get people stopping me on the street being like, oh, I saw that video. Because they're sitting down and actually watching it. Whereas TikTok counts it. If you're scroll. That counted as a view. It's like 3 seconds or 7 seconds or whatever it is. So TikTok views don't really mean anything. But that's the thing is like for marketing agencies, they can go back to the executives at these companies, be like, we got you 15 million views of exposure. Doesn't mean anything, but.
Drive Ice 1 donated $3. I know a streamer who got denied an early access code for Lego Horizon because he wasn't family friendly enough. Which is kind of funny to me considering how it is doing now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I was told through my management that we were not invited to the Indiana Jones preview event thing because we were not on the approved list from corporate, specifically Disney. So like a lot of these corporations, they have some list where they are approving or disapproving people based on some criteria. And if you're not on their approved list, or if they don't think you're safe, they don't invite you. Now, I don't think that's crazy. I've been pretty hardcore, to be fair, I'd like to think, on like all of these companies. But to say that I'm like not family friendly or something is a little funny. People give me crap because I don't curse hardly at all. Like if somebody curses in a super chat or something, I might read it off, but I don't think I'm that I'm that scandalous typically. But yeah, that was a thing that we found out, was that whatever that list is, we were not on it. And what's crazy is we were before Avatar, because Disney was involved in that one and we were on the approved list to review and talk about Avatar. And at some point in the last year, that has changed, which is funny. I wear it kind of like a badge of honor. Maybe we do, like, maybe they surprise us and we do get a review code for Indiana Jones. I'm not expecting it. And either way, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, because I will be honest, from the data I have, it seems like nobody is really interested in Indiana Jones. Like the traffic and interest in that game is very low. It's really surprising to me, because you'd think it's a big franchise, but not really. sell your soul and be yourself, or be yourself, take your pick. I thought it was sell your soul and be yourself. I was like, that sounds great. But sell your soul or be yourself. Well, we've made it very, very clear to sponsors and to everybody that I will say whatever I want. Especially if you're doing like an I tried video. Like, I will tell you guys right now, what day is it? 28. Yeah. So just about 3 weeks ago, I turned down a 5-figure sponsorship for a single video to talk about games. And it was really simple pitch. They just were like, we just want to like bring in some positivity. We just want you to be like, hey, here's some stuff I like about this. And just do that. Just make that video. 5 figures. But I turned it down because it wasn't going to be real. Like, it wasn't going to be legitimate. I was like, honestly, if it were a non-sponsored video, I might consider doing like, okay, let's do a fun little experiment. Positivity in gaming. Let's look at the worst games from the last year and say things I like. Or let's talk about scandalous games that are upcoming or whatever. And let's just find good things to talk about in them. That's an interesting premise. But the second it's sponsored, it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. And I tried to explain that to them, like in our discourse back and forth. I was like, as a sponsored video, it has no effect. It will, like, it then is not genuine because it's paid. And that's why for our I tried videos, I'm okay doing an I tried video. And if you guys are not okay with it, please let me know, because I'd rather know what you think about it. It's more important what you think about it. But from my perspective, if it's a video where it's like, hey, this is not a review, they just want me to show you this game and you can check it out. If you want me to do a review, I'll play through the whole thing and I'll check it out much more. But if if somebody wants me to just show or share a game with somebody, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I share it with my audience if they find it interesting. Cool. I'm not going to say anything I don't believe, though. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the best game I've ever played. There's been lots of games that have come to us and be like, hey, can we pay for a sponsored I Tried video? We just need Luke to say it's the best mobile action game he's ever played. I'm like, it's not. So no. And we've had many deals fall apart by that and because of that. But yeah, that's ultimately the thing. Like, I think that people don't understand about this too, is that it's easy to go like, oh, well, these people are bought and paid for, they're shills or whatever. It's like, I challenge you to get offered 5 figures. 5 figures. And
Kenneth
turn it
Campbell
down.
Is now a member.
Kenneth, thank you, my friend. You know, it's like a lot of people would sell out for that. I think, but we turned it down. We shut it down. We said no. And I regret it so much. No, I'm kidding. It was not raid. No. But yeah, that's one of those things that I just think maybe is important for people to remember, is that there's a lot of stuff that we turned down. They offered 5 figures to a YouTube channel with 140,000 subs. No, this was for the main channel. This was for the big channel. Yeah. I think they pivoted and they asked if we were interested in doing it on this channel, and it would have been like about half of the amount they offered for the big channel. But we still said, nah, I just don't think it's a good idea. Yeah. War Thunder, dude, I kind of like War Thunder. I like War Thunder, honestly. Like, it's granted I'm a history nerd, so that's part of it. And you guys know me. My thing is I want more games about ships. Why do we not have more games about ships? There really are not that many. We have farm sim games. We have games like Factorio. We have all these crazy games, but there's not really any good games for like shipping stuff or like, you know, big ships on the ocean. That's what I want. I want a game where I can be a pirate sailing through like a realistic simulation of the ocean. That's what I want. I understand maybe it's not going to be that fast paced or crazy because the ocean is freaking gigantic, but give me that. We have Microsoft Flight Simulator where you can do 12-hour flights in 747s, but we don't have anything comparable for ships. Skull and Bones, that's true. At least we have that. You're right. You got me there. At least we've got Skull and Bones, man. Oh, man. Naval Action, is that a game? Naval Action? Six out of 10 on Steam. What's people's problems with it? Terrible game, waste of time. Please go play something else. And for the love of all things holy, do not spend money on this game. It's simply bad. Once player-driven trading and economy is dead. From my understanding, it's changed from how the devs did it a while back. Really try to enjoy, but it can't have it. Sets you impossible challenges right at the beginning. This is a game that felt like it had captured lightning in a bottle, but it suffered from a developer that's pushed it further and further into being a no-life or unfun time sink of an MMO. Well, that's too bad. New player experience is garbage. Devs permaban people from forums for not being super nice. Devs brutalize the player, beloved gameplay mechanics. Sounds fun. But like this, it sounds like this is what I want. It just sounds like it's what I want, but the version from 5 years ago. But maybe I'll check that out. It's free to play. I mean, what have I got to lose? Anyway. Okay, let's finally talk about this for real. New segment. And then I'll catch up on the rest of this. If I start reading through these messages again, I will get tied up. Oh, that's only one. Ace V, thank you for that super chat. I hope GTA is good. The trailer went hard. Oh yeah, the last trailer went hard. Yeah, I think it's, I mean, they've literally never missed. So if they screw up GTA 6, it'll be the story of the decade. And I'll be here for it, but I don't think they will. Okay. So CDPR, they've wrapped up their third quarter of the year. They issued a bunch of interesting little bits of information. If you're ever interested in this, you can actually look at their dedicated X profile, which is CDPR IR, IR standing for Investor Relations. This is something you can see on most publicly traded websites. They have at like the very bottom of the page, or sometimes in a separate tab, they have investor, investors as its own tab. And if you go there, you can get like their 10K reports. You can get all of their financial information, tons of cool little details and stuff. But as part of this, they issued a bunch of information that people have been taking and looking at. Interesting little tidbits like further strong revenue from Cyberpunk, from Phantom Liberty, and The Witcher 3, even through just this quarter. 228 PLN. What does that translate to? That's about 56 million US dollars. So not terrible. So about 56 million, considering no new launches or anything. That's not bad. Total post-release sales of Cyberpunk 2077 has topped 30 million copies. Jesus. While Phantom Liberty expansion has sold over 8 million copies. Can't recommend Phantom Liberty enough, by the way. But I do think a lot of this crossover is probably like a lot of last gen sales and stuff that is not supported by the expansion. But I mean, it really shows. This is why I think it's so crucial for people to understand, because they throw around all the time. They're like, well, this game, you know, started rough, but they can patch it and fix it up. I'm like, the difference is people really wanted Cyberpunk. The hype level was through the roof. Same thing with like No Man's Sky. Started through the roof. And then they screwed up the launch, but they fixed it. And then all those people that were initially excited came back and loved it. For games that nobody really cared about to begin with, like a Suicide Squad, you can't just fix it up and boom, 30 million copies sold, because the hype was never there to begin with. Same with Concord or any of these other games that flopped. The only reason these worked was because there were that many people interested to begin with, and then they delivered what they wanted, and boom, like, it works. But you can't just... If people weren't initially in love with the idea, with the pitch, they're not going to magically change now that they see it's polished up or anything. What's interesting about this too, look at this quote. I'm proud to confirm that several weeks ago, the Polaris team wrapped up pre-production and moved on to full-scale production, the most intensive phase of development. This is for Project Polaris, which is the first installment in the new Witcher trilogy. We are very pleased to progress on this project, and I wish to thank the team for its dedication, says Mikhail Nowakowski, joint CEO of CD Projekt. The company also announced that both products from the Cyberpunk universe have reached important sales milestones. That's awesome. And they shared some other graphics with this as well. One that just clearly outlines their current assignments, as you can see here, where development teams engaging in ongoing projects. In July, at the end of last quarter, they had 410 people working on Polaris, which is the next Witcher game. And now that is at 400. A few people have shifted around through all of this. These could be engineers working on code. It could be pre-production writers. It could be character designers that don't have as much work to do over here now, so they're moving to other projects. It's kind of hard to say, but huge team that's working on this. Right there. This project, Project Orion, I believe this is the Cyberpunk sequel, or the next Cyberpunk game that is still in pre-production, and that is in the works. Sirius and Hadar. Yes, I'll have to remind me. This guy did it. Thank you. Polaris is Witcher 4. Orion is Cyberpunk 2. Sirius is the Witcher 1 remake. Hadar is a new IP. So Sirius is now at 42. It's at the same size in pre-production. I imagine that's pre-production. They might honestly not need that many more people, but that's what these guys... I believe the team that's doing the remake is the same team that did the Thaumaturge. The Thaumaturge. Fool's Theory. This was like a really trippy, very interesting RPG. I recommend you check it out if you've not seen it. It's very interesting and very different. The combat system is based around time also. So it's about performing actions within a set period of time instead of just like one action, kind of like D&D where it's like, oh, you get one action, one bonus action, whatever. In this case, it's based around time spent during the round to perform those actions. So some actions might take you multiple rounds to actually perform. So it's very interesting. It's an interesting little combat system, but they also did a really good job with building it out with the writing and everything. And they've been tapped to work on the full remake of the first one, which is awesome. I don't know if this count is including that team, or if this is that team, or if this is just the people within CDPR corporate that are working on it. I'm not really sure, but the point is, like, the project is about the same as it was last quarter. Hadar, which is the new IP, early pre-production. And in case you're not familiar, pre-production is basically the time when you're designing the design doc. You might be doing R&D. So imagine like pre-production on something like Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. That's when you're coming up with what's the story going to be. We have this idea for the Nemesis system. How is that going to work? Okay, let's build it out with spreadsheets and with all this. Let's make a prototype in the code. Let's do that. And this is what it's going to look like. And this is how it's going to work. And you build out all those systems and prototypes. And then once you have everything kind of prepped and you sort of have the blueprints for what you want to make, then you enter full production. And that's when you go balls to the walls, implementing that blueprint and actually building the thing. And that's where Project Polaris has moved from. So they went from pre-production where they had a lot of people working on it, and now they're into full production where everybody's actually executing on those design docs and everything that they are planning on. So they've got a lot of pots on the stove for sure, but they are going into overdrive, and it's actually entered full production, which is awesome. How long does pre-production take? It really depends on the type of game. So pre-production can take anywhere from a year to 3 or 4 years, and then full production is usually the most intense, but also it can be shorter than pre-production, where it might be like 3 years, 2-3 years of full crazy work to actually deliver on it. But it really depends. Like, for example, Bethesda Game Studios, they said a lot that they believe great games are played, not made, right? Like, their philosophy was make pre-production as short as possible. They said this openly in their interviews about the creation of, like, I think it was the documentary on the making of Fallout 3, where they said, we want to get out of pre-production as quick as possible, and we just want to start building and iterating, because we want to try something, and if it doesn't work, we cut it and we do something else. That works when you're a small team, doesn't really work when you're on the big scale with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And I think part of their problem is that they still design games that same way, and it doesn't really work when you're a massive team. So I think that this is probably indicative that we're going to get whatever the next Witcher game is in 2 to 3 years. Probably about 1.5 to 2 years until we start hearing about it, seeing trailers and stuff like that. I also anticipate that it's going to be a marketing behemoth, because not only, and this is my prediction, I don't have any direct information, but I think NVIDIA is going to be going balls to the walls trying to utilize special integrations to promote their graphics technology for like the 50 series and for everything else they're going to be doing for DLSS 4.0 and everything. They're going to be pushing all of that with this because they have a history of doing it with CDPR for their graphical powerhouse games. And I also think that Epic Games is going to be doing a lot to use this game to promote Unreal Engine. So there's going to be all sorts of special little demos and stuff where they're showing the upcoming technology used in The Witcher 4 or whatever they end up calling this. It's not going to be The Witcher 4. They're going to call it something else. But whatever this ends up being called, this is going to be like the primary driving marketing force for that. And so I think once we start hearing about it, we're going to hear a lot about it. And I think we're going to see a lot of it. And it's going to be one of those showcase games once more, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with seeing a lot of the cool tech, but I do think that this is going to be one of those games where the hype level is going to be ridiculous, because I do fully believe that they are going to, I think they're going to have a lot of really crazy stuff. They're going to have a lot of crazy tech, because whatever they saw in the Epic Games offices that convinced them to abandon the Red engine, which was amazingly powerful. Yeah, it had its problems, but amazingly powerful, ran The Witcher and ran, of course, Cyberpunk. They were shown stuff that Epic was working on that made them want to abandon their own engine. And yes, there was a data breach and they had source code leak and there were other problems that went on. But they saw something that excited them enough that they abandoned that thing they'd worked on for like 2 decades. And I think that is awesome. I think that's really exciting, because whatever they saw behind closed doors in the prototype phase, they were like, oh, shoot. And so I think it's going to be exciting. So we'll see that. But it's going to be one of those games where the hype level is going to be crazy, because I think they're going to be showing some amazing NPC tech. They're going to be showing some crazy graphical tech. They're going to be showing some cutscenes and cinematics and stuff that look like those old school pre-rendered cutscenes. The fidelity is going to be insane, and it's going to make people lose their minds. So buckle up, buckaroo. That pause was suspicious, Luke. What do you know? I know you're going to probably be impressed with what you see. That's what I think. In other words, nothing. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Translation, nothing. Yeah. To be clear, there will still be drama from the rumblings I've heard of what like they're looking at doing, whether it ends up being locked in or not. But I think there will be those who try to make drama out of it. Out of some of the stuff they do. Let's see. Kenneth, thank you again for the membership, my friend. Blake, thank you for that 5. What 3 things do you like to see them added or improved upon in the next Cyberpunk game? I think they got to deal with inventory. The inventory management stuff in Cyberpunk, the base Cyberpunk 2077 was nightmarish. Way too much garbage. Way too much crap. I'd like to see them improve like enemy AI. I would like to see I want to see more verticality, frankly. They did better than like The Witcher, of course, because they kind of had to, but I'd like to see things like the flying cars, more vehicles. I think stuff like that would be awesome. And I mean, we're kind of comparing like the 2.0 version compared to the first version, because they did like the 2.0 version of Cyberpunk is way better than the original. But yeah, I think augmentations need to be enhanced and expanded, and they also need to redo the whole marketplace for them, because they were one of the coolest aspects of the Cyberpunk universe, but they were so damn expensive that you might be able to get a few by the end of the game, but like really, really tough to actually manage. Third person, an option for it would have been nice, because it never made sense that you're doing all of this crazy customization of like your character's look and their clothes and their outfits, but you can never see your character until the final cutscene at the end of the game. So I think they got to do that. Yeah, they could fix up gunplay. There's a handful of things, you know. But honestly, if they can deliver an entire game built on the foundation of Cyberpunk 2077 2.0, I think that could pop off. Loxy, thank you so much. 10 gifted subs over on Twitch. That's crazy. That's crazy. Didn't think the augmentations were that hard to get. Well, I mean, when I say like, I want them to be more accessible, I mean like, I want to experiment. I want the gorilla fists, and I want to be able to swap them out for the mantis claws, and then I want to, or mantis blades, and then I want to go and I want to swap out maybe new enhancements to make it so you can jump 20, 30 feet in the air. I want to, yeah, more parkour aspects. That's something you could get an enhancement or an augmentation for that. There's all sorts of crazy things that you could add if you really started to expand it. And so I think that could be really, really cool. I also love the hacking stuff that they did, but I do think that that could also be overhauled and streamlined a lot, because it was pretty clunky the way it was implemented. The Phantom Liberty DLC with the destructible environments during that first boss fight, that was really cool. I'd like to see more of that implemented across the board with more destructible environments and stuff. Max would be cool. Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, the in-game economy is kind of just a disaster, even after all of the work they've done. So I think they got to enhance that. I love Sim stuff, so I think that they could do improved stuff for either like investments, kind of like in GTA, where you can buy the movie theater and you can buy things like that. I think that that could be a cool thing to implement for passive income. still to this day, the GTA 5 systems with the stock market are some of the most wacky and crazy ideas I've seen. Like in GTA 5, literally, you can go and like you can buy stock in the competitors of, I forget the name of the company. It's like the Apple, Facebook joke company. But after the assassination of the dude, then that stock spikes. And if you play it right, like you can end up with tens of millions of dollars just because you bet on the stock market before you toyed with it. And that's so brilliant. Like that's such a clever way of doing it. And I would love to see more stuff like that implemented. Because they have little tidbits of it here and there. But Life Invader, that's what it was. Life Invader. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to see more games play with that stuff. I really hope that's a thing in GTA as well, is that they bring back like the stock market stuff, because that was super cool. On the boss hack. Yeah, it was the boss hack. I forgot. That's what it was. Dude, it's so good. You do the same with car companies, if I remember correctly. Buy stocks in certain companies, blow up competitor cars or something. Oh, are you talking about in let's see. So I got distracted reading another one. I hope they work on vehicle control. It always felt like driving on ice for me. Yeah, honestly, they never really, even after all the patches, it got a little better, but I have a mod installed that improves it a little bit more, but yeah, they drive a little clunky. It's like this bad middle ground between like sim and gamified driving. So it just doesn't do either of them particularly well, in my opinion. I don't really like the way vehicles control. Anyway, thank you again, Loxy, for those 10 gifted subs. That's crazy. Thank you, my friend. Very generous. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about, speaking of boss hack. I don't know what that transition is, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. Then a trick. Oh, it's a fake profile. Okay, we'll not look at this one because this appears to be fake, but we can lead into this. Okay. New segment. My point with the ball sack thing was the Naughty Dog, because people say that Naughty Dog games are crappy. And so I was like, oh, ball sacks are bad, right? That's what we say. That's the thing. It was a stretch. I'll give you that. Okay. So, rumblings of the next Naughty Dog project are starting to pick up in intensity. And with this, there's some discussions that are rumors that are being debunked. There are some that seem much more legit and locked in. And I'm going to talk about all of it because here we are. So with this, the first little tidbit that we had pulled up has since been pretty much debunked, which is Naughty Dog's supposed new IP, Timeless Travel, seemingly a fake. This originally started as a story basically describing how, is this the title of Naughty Dog's new game, Timeless Travel Sci-Fi then? Joraptor, maybe something to add to next Sunday's vid. Don't want to share the profile link in case they get taken down quick, but DM me and I can share it. And it was a screenshot of this person saying, environment artist at Naughty Dog for about almost 3 years, and they were working on a new IP, Timeless Travel. It was like, somebody put the name of the game in their LinkedIn description, which is a pretty noob mistake. But it seems that this has been updated. Well, never mind. The LinkedIn profile, which bears the Timeless Travel name, appears to be a fake one. And it looks like it's been struck as well. So there you go. The profile belonging to a supposed Raymond Keller purports to have a background at Bungie and Warner Brother Games Montreal working on Gotham Knights, in addition to a current position at Naughty Dog, but there doesn't seem to be any evidence of such a name in the credits of the aforementioned action game or any Destiny projects. Unfortunately, this seems to be nothing more than a trick. We'll update this again if anything new comes to light, but it's looking like a false alarm. Looks like somebody just made a profile and it was not accurate. Which, I mean, honestly, it's pretty easy to fake something like that. But they then, right after this, there were other stories that started coming out that are more confirmed and locked in. Actor Troy Baker, surprising nobody, is set to reunite with Neil Druckmann, everybody's favorite game director, on their upcoming untitled new game. The Sony-owned studio is building a yet-to-be-announced single-player game with Uncharted and Last of Us' chief Neil Druckmann at the helm. Fans know next to nothing about this project, but according to GQ, Troy Baker has signed on to appear in it. Quote, "In a heartbeat, I would always work with Troy," Druckmann is quoted as saying in the article. Baker famously played Joel in The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 for Naughty Dog and has worked closely with Druckmann for years. Yeah, he also was Sam in Uncharted 4. I think it was the first time he worked with him was The Last of Us. I don't think he worked with them before that, but he's a staple of the game. Same with Nolan North. I would be shocked if Nolan North is not in the next game. Same with Laura Bailey. They kind of get this whole cast of voice actors and they just bring them in for every game that they do. In December of last year, Naughty Dog canceled The Last of Us Online in its troubled attempt to create a live service game and live service version of its popular franchise. At the time, the studio said it needed to pull all of its resources into post-launch content for years to come, and that approach would have severely impacted its ability to develop future single-player games. They went on to confirm that it had more than one ambitious brand new single-player game in the works, without revealing anything about them. In June, Druckmann said Naughty Dog was looking to break away from being predominantly associated with The Last of Us. Quote, "I promise you, we will not be The Last of Us studio forever," Druckmann insisted, speaking of Naughty Dog's beloved post-apocalyptic franchise that debuted in 2013 and received its Part 2 sequel in 2020. The studio is otherwise best known for creating the Uncharted franchise, though this was put to bed with 2016's Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and a smaller follow-up, The Lost Legacy, a year later. This was apparently like sort of an experiment. They wanted to see if they could get Uncharted working as a separate IP, well, as a spin-off IP sort of thing, where they wanted to see if Uncharted worked without Nathan Drake. If you could do it with a different protagonist in different settings and just see how it would work. And I thought it was like, it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever played. It was fine, but it really lacked the soul and the magic of Uncharted. And it just felt off to me. And I know some people really like The Lost Legacy. I just personally, I don't think Nadine is particularly interesting as a character. I do like Chloe, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't something I ate up. So I think it's best to just move on from Uncharted and pursue something else, do something else crazy and wacky, experiment with something totally different. But that's one bit, is that Troy Baker has signed on to reunite for it. The other piece is an article from Variety. Lucasfilm, Microsoft, Kojima Production execs top Variety's entertainment gaming leaders list. Kojima looks good there. It's a different pair of glasses than he normally wears, but that's a good pair. Kojima, honestly, that's a good pair. Keep wearing them. That's good. That's good. I like it. That's a handsome, that's a handsome woman right there. That's a handsome Kojima right there. Tell you what. If we scroll down, Vice President of Immersive Content at Lucasfilm, honestly, like, I understand these are powerful people, but working at Lucasfilm, have they had any hugely successful games? Oh no, my camera's dead. Oh no. Hold on. This happens sometimes. Let me reset the power. Reset the power. What's your problem, camera? What's your problem, camera? Okay. Let me toggle it. There we go. Okay. Dilly. We're back. Oh my God. Hold on. I swear to God, if this camera's dying, I'm gonna scream. This thing was so expensive. Don't do this to me. Come on. Okay, plug it in. Voila. Turn it on. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Is it going to turn off again? No. Okay. Okay. We're okay. We're back. We're back. Anyway, I was just saying, I can't think of any like big Lucasfilm games that have really popped off. We had Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which did okay. I think it did well. It was a technical wreck at launch, but that was one. Star Wars Outlaws recently, a bit of an oopsie. We had what else? I mean, we've got Indiana Jones. Maybe that pops off. They used to make pretty good games, I think, in the real olden days. Yeah, it was back when they were allowed to have their own studio. And then Bob Iger came in. They bought Lucasfilm. And then Bob Iger later, they shut down all gaming studios because they're like, it's going to be easier if we let EA develop all of them. And we'll sign exclusive licensing deals to let other studios develop games for us. And they got like Battlefront 1 and 2, and that's about it. Loxy, thank you for gifting a sub to But Lego. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing with like, I'm sure she does a lot. I'm just not familiar with anything that she's done that would warrant being literally the top of the list for gaming leaders. But maybe there's stuff I'm just not familiar with. Matt Booty. He's the guy that oversees all of the studio apparatus at at Xbox's gaming division. He oversees all the studios. Honestly, and I'm not just saying this like to be that guy, but I'm really surprised he still has a job. Like, I'm really surprised because it seems like one of their main problems at Xbox has been consistent quality out of their studios. And it's my understanding that that's his entire job. And so long as he's been in position, it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Now, maybe next year it pops off. Next year we do have some big games. We've got freaking Doom. We've got Fable. We've got South of Midnight. We've got, what's another Xbox game next year? Avowed, of course. We've got Gears. Is that next year? Was that 26? Might be next year. Jeez, yeah, I think it is next year. They've got a lot. Point is, they've got a lot for next year. So maybe next year is the year where we're like, oh my God, Xbox has been cooking, man. Maybe that's what we say next year. So maybe he wins me over. But as of today, I'm like, I'm surprised he's still in position, but whatever. Neil, here's the deal. Neil, baby. I think this is actually probably fair. I know people either love Neil or they hate him, but he is responsible for creating The Last of Us, which, like, he's got, I think they won Game of the Year in 2016, or was that Overwatch? Might have been Overwatch. But he's got 2 Game of the Year wins in his belt. Tremendously successful games in terms of sales and critical reception, and they converted it into a wildly successful HBO show. And he basically single-handedly crafted a multi-billion-dollar narrative-driven IP. That's awesome. That's impressive. You don't have to like it, but you know, the proof's in the pudding. With these guys, I'm not sure what they've done for the last decade. It's like the old Office Space thing where they sit down at the conference room table. What do you do here? With these guys, I really don't know. But with Neil, I know what he's done. And whether we love it or hate it, it's been successful. But what's interesting is that they also go in here and they have a little bitty interview here. And it says, one of Druckmann's earliest video game memories is of his older brother bringing home a Pong machine. But it wasn't until later he discovered the point-and-click adventures of California-based publisher Sierra Games that he felt that magic, that he would later try to reverse engineer in his work as head of Naughty Dog. One of Druckmann's first projects with the company was Jack 3, and he later went on to work as one of the lead developers on The Last of Us. This is kind of an understatement. He was the creative director for it. He wasn't the gameplay director. That was Bruce Straley, I believe. But he was like the creative director and the writer for the game. And like, it was him and Bruce that pitched it to Naughty Dog executives. So like, he's basically the creator. Although he couldn't spare any details, Druckmann says he and his team have something big coming on the horizon that marks the most excited he has ever been for a project. After directing an episode of the upcoming season 2 of HBO's Last of Us, Druckmann says that seeing the show come to life has been completely surreal, and he has to pinch himself when standing on physical sets like Joel's house. But specifically, this is the part people have taken and said it's the most excited he's ever been for an upcoming project. These other bits are, the other people on this list are interesting. Have they done anything? I'm not familiar with this. Seems like they don't even have a game out or anything. It's a media company? Okay. I'm not sure why this would be like in gaming. I understand she's a big streamer, but like what? Kojima? Okay. Head of animation studio, right? Games. Okay, that one's fair. World of Warcraft. VP executive producer. Okay. Laura Miel, EA Entertainment Technology. EA's been struggling, haven't they? Scopely. Oh God. He's the chief. This is the guy? This is the guy that's sucking billions of dollars out of poor people's pockets by getting them addicted to basic like gambling loops. Jesus. Go dry up, dude. How do you sleep at night? Like, Jesus Christ. Wow. Okay, Executive VP Disney Games and Digital Entertainment. Okay, again, like what have you done? Fortnite? They did a collaboration with Fortnite. Oh, he's a Yahoo sports exec. That explains a lot. Okay. Who made this list, dude? Okay, what are we doing? Come on, man. Wow. That's freaking hilarious. That's freaking hilarious. You put Valkyrie on the list and you didn't put somebody like Dunkey on the list. Dunkey literally published one of the best games of the year. And he's not on the list? Like, what are you talking about? Like, whatever. Anyway. Yeah, no Sven, no Hidetaka, none of that. Okay. Yeah, I think we're being silly. Anyway, so the point is there's a lot of discourse and discussion about the upcoming Naughty Dog project. There's rumors that it's going to be a totally new IP. There's been other statements we've talked about before with Neil where he's alluded to working with the team on some stuff that has totally blown his mind and has totally surprised him. And that has really excited him and the team. And it seems like whatever they are working on, it's going to be massive. It's going to be very ambitious. And it seems like at the very least, they don't want to be pinned down just doing more and more Last of Us titles. And I think that is good because I don't like it when studios are just pumping out different, versions of the same thing 15 times because that's the safe bet that makes tons of money. I think one of the reasons this generation has felt so weird is because we've not gotten a lot of new IP. We haven't gotten a lot of new exciting things. And I think it's been, a generation of remakes and remasters and sequels pretty much exclusively. And so to get some new IP, some new exciting stuff from some very big studios will be really cool. And it looks like we're going to get that from Naughty Dog. It looks like we're going to get something new from Santa Monica Studio, something new from Sony Bend, although that's probably going to be a multiplayer live service game. And I mean, fair game $. So there's that. And at the very least, if you're not into The Last of Us 3 or whatever Naughty Dog's working on now, at least we will have fair game $. To play. So we can at least rest easy knowing that we will have that. There you go. End of segment. Valkyrie is just a big streamer with a lot of money, so she likely just bought a company, more than one, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad way to do it. If you got a ton of cash and you want to start making stuff, yeah, I mean, put your name on it. It can work. That's what Dr. Disrespect was trying to do for a while, and then all of that stuff happened. So it's not a bad idea until, I guess, you start chatting with people that maybe you shouldn't, but anyway. So with this, I just, those lists are always so cringy to me, because I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to, like how out of touch you are to think that those are the most influential people. There's a couple, like Kojima, sure, that I think that makes sense. The guy that headed up Arcane and the production of the Arcane show, okay. Neil, yeah, I think that probably makes sense. But a lot of the other people, I'm like, what? You're not putting some of the biggest players in the gaming industry on that list? Like, say what you will about Phil, but Phil has spearheaded like the acquisition of $77 billion in companies. Phil has done more to change the gaming industry permanently than probably any other single person in the last 15, 20 years. Doesn't mean we have to like how he's changed it, but he's changed it a lot. So, at the very least, there's that. But no, don't put him on the list. Don't put Todd on the list. Don't put Sven on the list. Sven, the guy that owns one of the most prolific and successful development companies of a single-player game in history, that dominated the Game of the Year awards. Like, no, you're not going to include him. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. The rumors are swirling that they're going to be releasing the Switch 2 in March with an announcement in January. That might be the case, or they might announce it in December. I think either way, they should be fine. What I'm surprised though is if they really are aiming to launch in March, I would think that they are currently manufacturing stuff, and we've seen no leaks of manufacturing stuff, of like manufacturing dies or of manufacturing presses for case makers or anything. Like, if you have ever seen like Mac Rumors regularly has leaks of like a year or two ahead of time. The iPhone 17 Air is expected to be equipped with an Apple-designed 5G modem that's smaller, more powerful than the Qualcomm modems used in current iPhones. However, the report said that their modem will lack ultra-fast mmWave 5G support and will have slower overall cellular data speeds compared to the Qualcomm. Classic Apple, make your own stuff that's worse than the competitors, but call it groundbreaking. But like, the point is, they have this stuff already leaked. They have information about like the type of metal that they're going to use in the frame of the phone, because this stuff is planned years in advance, and they have to order all of the materials, and they all go to the manufacturers and all that. And so you start to see some stuff really start leaking 6 months to a year ahead of when it's actually going to start like really ramping up. And that so far has just not happened with the Switch 2 stuff. I think if it were really coming this early, we would have heard a lot more by now, but Oh yeah, in case you guys missed it, there's a new Star Wars Concord coming out. It is a mix of gameplay and in-engine gameplay cinematics captured on PC. Ooh. And this is what it looks like. It's a new hero shooter, I guess, but in the Star Wars universe, and it's going to be playable across like mobile and PC and everything. It's like their big push into trying to make an Overwatch clone kind of game for Star Wars. I don't know, man. Why are all these games coming out so far after? It's been out. I think this is the revamp of it. This is like the Steam version that's coming to early access, the Steam early access thing. I think it's on mobile now, but yeah, it's been out. Jeez, dude. Like, the problem is not hero shooter, okay? I want to be clear. Some hero shooters pop off and are awesome, okay? Marvel Rivals actually looks like it's going to be pretty good. When I tried it was really good, but...
Caleb donated $50 through Super Chat. I kinda feel bad for MS. They just can't win. They hire Insomniac to make a game and they make Sunset Overdrive and it's a massive flop. Then Insom goes and makes Spider-Man for PS and it's successful. And bought Todd.
And they bought Todd just in time for his garbage arc. Yeah, but I mean, going back to the discussion of Matt Booty, there's some difference where Sony can work with the company and it's one of the biggest games of the year in the form of Spider-Man. But then Microsoft works with that same company and it's a flop. And this happens time and time and time and time again. At some point, you got to self-reflect and be like, oh, wait, maybe it's us. Maybe there's something we do differently than Sony, whether it's what projects we're greenlighting or how we support the studios we are working with. Like, there's something we are doing wrong that's causing this consistent shortcoming. But no, that couldn't possibly be it. Couldn't possibly be it. What was that old clip of them? What's the Psychonauts developer? Double Fine. That's what it was. There's an old documentary, not that old, it's like a year or two old, but there was this bit where they were talking, this is it, and basically, like, it's a talk with Matt Booty after they were acquired and everything, where they are talking about the process of ideation. Yeah. Here it is. Basically, okay, setup. Going in the same vein as, like, there's something wrong with how Microsoft approaches the creative process versus Sony, where Sony's really able to seemingly I don't know what that word is, harness and foster this creative juice that makes these games work, whereas Microsoft has struggled consistently with it. And it reminds me of this clip from a documentary bit about the development of Psychonauts 2 and after they were acquired by Microsoft and everything, where Matt Booty, the head of all of their studios, is sitting in the studio and talking with them, and you can see the head of Double Fine talking with them about it, because basically the concern within the studio was that Matt Booty was going to enforce Microsoft's policy, which is that if you think of something, it's owned by the company, full stop. So if you pitch like a children's book, if you pitch a spin-off game that looks like this and plays like this or that, that is owned by Microsoft because you made that pitch while an employee within the studio. And the fear was that that was going to harm the creative process because people wouldn't want to give out their best ideas because they'd want to keep those best ideas to themselves. So they're going to only give out their mediocre ideas and thoughts, but they're never going to go all in creatively because they know that the corporation is just going to take their idea whether they are there or not. And this little bit is pretty telling.
So I wanted to just like address that one head on.
Even though most of our concerns, because we are a creativity first company, there's questions about ownership. A lot of people have side creative things they do. They write children's books or play in bands or something, and they want to make sure that will be able to continue under Microsoft.
Where the moonlighting only really starts to be something that we even really need to have a conversation about is if you are making something that directly competes or conflicts with what happens here. And that really is going to boil down to making a game.
It's just that the thing is, it's like corporations like Microsoft always have the advantage. Because I've seen this happen to friends of mine who have released games, and this has happened, and then the company has gone after them, and they were like, even though they had a nice little handshake agreement, they still ended up having to pay that company.
So to be clear, it's like if one of these people went and made an indie game, Microsoft then goes and sues them because they're like, you came up with the idea of that indie game in this like brainstorming session you had at our company. That idea belongs to the company. That's not your game to make anymore. And whether that makes sense or not, you know, is sort of up for your personal perspective and debate. The idea is sound in my view. Like, you shouldn't be able to work within a company and then take the creative or take the competitive advantage ideas that company has and just run over, make your own company or sell those ideas to a different company, which is something that has been a problem for big corporations with stuff like AI, where they'll have an AI engineer that does amazing work at NVIDIA, and then Apple hires them, and all of a sudden Apple's making all of these same breakthroughs, where this person is bringing their knowledge of competitive advantages at NVIDIA over there, and then there's lawsuits because they're like, that was not your information to share. That information was owned basically by NVIDIA. And so there's tons of problems with this. This is a big corporate issue globally, okay? So it's not like it's just in the video game space. But the reason why it's important here is because it affects the creative juice that flows within the studio, where all of these brilliant creatives, they don't want to share their best ideas in the company, because ultimately, if 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, they leave, make their own studio and do their own thing, they could be punished for having given that idea out in a work meeting or something. Yeah, they look happy. Yeah, you can tell that they were just acquired by Microsoft and they're having this roundtable with the head of Xbox Studios, and they look like they're at a funeral. Does this guy look like he's happy to have been acquired by Microsoft? Does he look like he's thrilled with their new corporate overlords? No. I mean, they all have their heads bowed like their friend just died. Like, what? But this is, again, the difference between a company that's really able to foster creative exploration and a company that struggles with that. Microsoft is kind of the definition of a big soulless corporation that is really good at utilizing engineers to develop software, but their processes don't really work with creative types of people. It just doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. Sony will not allow it either. There seems to be a big difference in how they approach it, though, in how they frame it or in how the policies work. I don't really know how Sony does it so differently, and seemingly Microsoft doesn't know it either. If it were easy, everybody would have totally successful studios upon their acquisition, but It's only recently that Sony has started to struggle with that. Historically, Sony's been really good at when they acquire a studio, they start putting out amazing games that are fantastic additions to their catalog. It's only very, very recently that they've started to struggle. Very recently. Oh yeah, they posted that teaser for the Concord episode on the Amazon series. Yeah, we looked at it on stream on Monday, unless they posted another one. But yeah, if it's that same one, oh, yeah, pretty rough. But thank you again, Caleb, for the 50. Again, that's extremely generous of you. Like, very, very generous of you. I want to be clear, but just to hear the last bit of this answer.
So if you really want to go run a startup, quit and go run a startup, right? And so I'm not trying to chase anybody away. That's not trying to be harsh language. But if you work on something and suddenly it starts to pick up traction and you're like, hey, this thing is going big, I think you've got a choice as a person to make. The reality is that once something is kind of in these walls, Double Fine owns it, right?
Although where that comes to conflict a little bit is where we do this Amnesia Fortnite pitch.
Yep.
And we have always, as a company, said that we don't own the ideas until we actually produce them in the Amnesia Fortnite game jam. But before
That's the difference in policy. Like that thing he just said there. The way he's run his company previous is that if you make a pitch, the company does not own the idea until the company makes the thing. Throw out whatever you want. If you throw out in 2010 at Guerrilla Games, you're like, hey, I have this idea. What if we did this crazy game where like you're this redheaded chick hunting robot dinosaurs? And like it's kind of boring, but people will still play it, and then like executives will try to make it a thing for years and years and years. That in this studio would not be owned by the company. That would be your idea until they made it. And that encourages you to throw out those ideas. And that's the official corporate policy, is that no, it's your idea until we lock it in. And if we lock it in, you're probably going to be rewarded because you're going to get an executive leadership role on that project. If I don't know their names, if Tim or Sarah pitched some idea that was great, and they're like, we're going to make your game, Tim, or we're going to make your game, Sarah, you're going to be the executive game director, you're going to be the producer, whatever the role is. And that comes with a pay bump, and that comes with all of this power and responsibility. So you benefit from your idea being picked, but if they don't pick your idea, it's still your idea. That's how I think you encourage these people to be super creative and to throw those ideas out instead of the Microsoft corporate policy, which is much more cutthroat. You notice Matt is refusing to say clearly, no, you're going to own your ideas. We don't want to come after you for that stuff. He's not saying that because he knows damn well they will go after them if they take an idea they wanted to use or they would eventually use and did your own startup with it.
before people submit them, they work on them in their own time on their own computers, and they do at some point tell the ideas, and a lot of them don't get selected, and we've always maintained that we don't own those.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sort through that, because I don't know, someday down the road we might want to go back and say, ha, that was a great idea, you know, we should go make that game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is something we have to figure out.
A picture worth 1,000 words. Oh. You can just feel the tension. And this was like years ago, and you can feel the tension just through the video. Like, oh.
That was through that, because I don't know, someday down the road we might want to go back and say.
To be clear, someday down the road we might want to go back and say we want to use that idea that Tim or Sarah pitched years ago. So we're going to tap that and we own that idea.
Ha, that was a great idea, you know, we should go make that game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is something we have to figure out, because we're doing that process right now, and people are already pitching based on that promise that I already made.
Yeah.
That we don't own.
That's great. No.
Because that's what we've done for years.
So, yeah. So, and I'm not out, like, anything that you've done like that, we'll honor that, right? But I would say that before you do the next one, we got to clean that up a little bit, because it's a messy boundary, right?
The one thing I saw.
Again, this is the difference between like the software giga corporation of Microsoft and a team of artists and creative types that are just trying to flesh out clever ideas. And this is part of the reason why I think Microsoft has struggled against other creative types to achieve the same ends. Because I don't personally think you can have a healthy creative environment with that crushing corporate pressure. I just don't think you can. Lombardo, this is the difference between engineering and artineering. Yeah, they're different things, I think. They're different things. Jan, dude, if you disagree with the policy, you can leave anytime. I mean, it's a job after all. You either follow the directions, you get paid for that. No, exactly. I totally, 1,000% agree. I'm not saying anybody's being forced here. Yeah, absolutely. The point is, if you want the creative types that can make really phenomenal games, they don't seem to like policies like this. So they'll do just what you're saying. Exactly what you're saying, Jan. They'll leave. They'll go somewhere else. And you'll lose that talent. And that seems to be a consistent issue within these Microsoft studios and within these big acquisition places where a lot of the key talent seems to leave and they go off and make their own studios. They go indie, or they just get hired somewhere else and start working somewhere else. Like, people did leave. People did quit. Even at like BGS, people have started to leave. And this type of thing happens all the time. When there's an acquisition and the way things used to be are starting to be done differently, and they bail. And then that same company is not really the same. It's the same company in name, but it doesn't have the same people. It doesn't have the same talent. You know? You lose the talents, but they won't lose the ideas. The ideas that they said, yeah, you'll keep those. But that's part of the problem, is when this is the policy, the best ideas don't come out. The best ideas they stay kept in people's minds because they don't want it to be owned by the corporation. They don't want it to be owned by Microsoft, where 2 years down the road, it gets scooped up and used for some other project. So they keep it quiet. They keep it locked in. And whenever you have like software engineering, yeah, you do have to have some creative ideas and problem solving and stuff like that. But within video games, it's a blending of art and engineering. That's what makes it so fascinating to see. And art is very much about the creative process, about throwing a ton of stuff out there and sifting through the ideas and stringing something together. And whenever you have a policy that leads to people keeping ideas back, your studio is going to be less effective, less quality. Like, there's going to be less clever and crazy ideas. That's not how you end up with anything that's really groundbreaking. And I think this has been the problem, is that the way Microsoft has approached it just sucks the soul out of a lot of these studios. Not all of them. Some of them still pop off and do really good work and aren't too bothered by it. But it does seem to be an issue for some studios, where the second Microsoft comes in and starts handling things the way Microsoft handles things, they start to really, really struggle. And they lose a lot of talent, and everything just starts to devolve, which is unfortunate. I wonder how many resignations that talk got. I'd be interested, because I think a lot of people right after that talk, they started saying, maybe I do go indie. Maybe I go and I fill out some applications, you know. Yeah, all ideas in chat belong to Luke. Yeah, exactly. All those little jokes, those are mine. Mine. I own those now. You can't use that joke again. It's mine. Ooh, I like that emoji. That's mine now. You can't use it anymore. Oh. All ideas, even the mediocre ones. I'm guessing your good ideas won't be there, so I will only have mediocre ones, but because I'm a big corporation, I won't know the difference. Oh, anyway, thank you, Caleb, for the super chat again. That 50 is very generous. And yeah, I mean, I think that kickstarts an important discussion. Because as you said in your message, you said, I kind of feel bad for Microsoft. They just can't win. They hire Insomniac to make a game, and they make Sunset Overdrive, and it's a massive flop. And then Insomniac goes and makes Spider-Man for PlayStation, and it's successful. And they just bought Todd just in time for his garbage arc. It's like, yeah, at some point you kind of have to ask if every time they buy somebody and they take this on, they're running into major problems. Maybe it's their fault. Maybe they're part of the problem. Russ, thank you for the $1, by the way. Kino Man Sky, thank you for that. Video for Infinity Nikki launched with your handsome woman. Ooh, that, when does Infinity Nikki launch? It's apparently like actually doing pretty well in terms of wish lists and everything. This is that like funny artsy, I don't know if this counts as anime, but it's like, it kind of looks like Animal Crossing mixed with Pal World, mixed with all sorts of stuff. But it's very artsy and cutesy. And because my wife's name is Nikki, I feel like we should play this. People are gonna be like, Luke, did you play Kingdom Come Deliverance? I'm like, no, sorry, I got distracted with this. It's reached 30 million global pre-registrations. 30 million. Is it free to play? Is that what it is? Oh, it's 10? Is pre-registration, do they mean pre-order? Is that what that means? Is it just translated weird? Dude, even for $10, 30 million is impressive. It's free to play. Oh, is this like the early access maybe? Oh, weird. That's crazy. That's going to be one of those massive games that like nobody talks about. Sounds like Gacha Slop. Dude, the Gacha thing. Okay, what the hell are these ads? Dude, I'm getting recommended an ad for Miralax. What? What on our stream profile? Because this is a browser I only use for the streams. What about our stream profile makes them think that I need Miralax? Like, you're a gamer? Well, we've got something for you. Like, what on earth? Oh, man. That's funny. That's funny. What are some of these other ads? Are we getting other? No, it's blocking some of the other ads. This is the one that sticks. No, okay. Moving on. Oh, now it blocked it. Okay, well. Interesting. It's one of those moments where you're like, does it know something about me that I don't? It's like that story from years ago where Target got in trouble because Target was I think they got under a lawsuit or something because they started recommending to a woman ads for like pregnancy stuff, and she didn't even know she was pregnant, but there was something where they were able to track like her behavioral change through Google ads or whatever, where she started doing things, I guess, in her online activity that indicated she was probably pregnant. So they started recommending all sorts of pregnancy stuff. Let me see if I can find that. Oh my God, these ads are crazy, dude. How Target figured out a teen girl was pregnant before her father did. Like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So Target started sending coupons for baby items to customers according to their pregnancy scores. Sounds made up, but conveys how eerily accurate targeting is. An angry man went into Target outside Memphis demanding to talk to a manager. Said, quote, "My daughter got this in the mail. She's still in high school and you're sending her coupons for baby clothes and cribs. Are you trying to encourage her to get pregnant?" The manager didn't have any idea what the man was talking about. He looked at the mailer. Sure enough, it was addressed to the man's daughter and contained advertisements for maternity clothes, nursery furniture, and pictures of smiling infants. The manager apologized and called a few days later to apologize to the man. On the phone, though, the father was somewhat abashed, said, "I had a talk with my daughter," he said. "It turns out there's been some activities in my house I haven't been completely aware of. She's due in August. We owe you an apology." Like, targeting's crazy, dude. That's crazy. What what is this? Is there some drama around Avowed today? Is it, or is it the same stuff we talked about earlier? Because Chris Avalone is tweeting it now. Avowed's art director Matt Hansen admits to wanting to make Elon Musk mad, and hence the game is ultra woke. And is this what Chris Avalone's responding to? I don't work at Obsidian, I don't work on Avowed, and no idea what's going on, because people are trying to like tie them in. We miss your writing, Chris. Dude, whenever anybody is like, I swear to God, so many of these things would be fixed if people just put the freaking phone down. It's just every time I see any of this stuff where like people at these studios start tweeting and making posts on X or Blue Sky, whatever, and they just end up digging themselves into a pit. It's like, put your phone down. It's that South Park thing. Put it down if you're working on a video game today. Put it down. It's like, put your phone down. Stop tweeting. Nobody cares. You're just going to make things worse for yourself. For the love of God. But no. Also, shout out. The base version of Suicide Squad is down to $3.50. It's a bargain. Honestly, at $3.50, about $3.50. At $3.50, it might actually be worth that. Because you can get like, it's about a 10-hour campaign with about 3 hours of content repeated. And for $3.50, you might be able to get some cringe out of that. Now, to be clear, it's going to be cringe. We're not talking about like, ooh, I really enjoyed that time. It's going to be tough. But if you're somebody that likes playing bad games for the entertainment value, like there were some people that bought Gollum just to see how bad Gollum was, or they bought like Saints Row reboot to try it on like a deep sale to see if it was that bad. Same with Forspoken and stuff. If you're one of those people, one of those masochistic types, it might be worth checking out. Might be worth checking out for $3.50. But if you're like a normal person who doesn't like to play bad games, then probably not. Probably don't do that. It's probably a bad idea. At least Gollum was fun bad. Was it though? Was it though? Do we know that for sure? I don't actually know. Dude, this is what I get for pulling up one of my favorite YouTube channels on stream. Now, History for Granite videos keep getting recommended to me on stream, and I'm like, I just want to stop what we're doing and watch a 2-hour video on the internals of the Great Pyramids. This is what I get. This is the danger. This is the danger. Should have known it. Tism. I mean, honestly, if you've not seen the videos, I recommend you see them because there's some really good stuff in there. There's some really interesting stuff. Tell you what. It's pretty impressive. I had something else to go through. What was the other thing? What the hell was it? Dude, they're listening to us. 1 year ago, Lord of the Rings Gollum. I still find it, that was such a funny coincidence though too. I got reached out to them or by them by like maybe a few months ahead of time, and I was like, yeah, sure, put me on the review code list for Lord of the Rings Gollum. It can't hurt. And so they ended up sending me a code, and this was like, nobody was talking about it. This ended up blowing up into one of the like biggest like discussions of the year, was how bad that game was. And it was a total coincidence. So I ended up like, it was so bad, it was funny. And so I started talking about it very openly. And it ended up, I'm glad that we did, obviously, but it was very, very funny how much that exploded, because I had no idea. No idea it would end up being that big of a deal, but sometimes things just work out. They work out for the best. It's great how it works. Damn, Luke's a bigger history nerd than me. Dude, it's a problem. But I hyperfixate on random stuff like ships and boats. I have like the Lego Titanic up there. I eat up Titanic stuff. And ancient Egypt stuff. Those are like the two things that are always foolproof. I will go deep with those. No matter what. No matter what. Tell you what. That's a safe bet for me. Okay, I guess we can talk about this. Let's talk about this. I don't think we actually did the full story on the next upcoming D&D games. So I guess we should touch on this. World War II history. I go through waves of that. One of the most interesting documentaries I've seen. Oh shoot, what was the documentary named? I mean, it's based on a book about John Demjanjuk. I'll just say that name. If you're a World War II history buff, do you know the name John Demjanjuk? This is a test, and then we're going to talk about the future of D&D games after Baldur's Gate. Anybody know John Demjanjuk? No? Mighty silent. I believe it is it's by Lawrence Douglas. Yeah, it was later turned into a documentary. But basically, this is the book. The Right Wrong Man, and there was a documentary on it. I think it's on Netflix, but it's a book by Lawrence Douglas. It basically describes how this guy, John Demjanjuk, was accused of being Ivan the Terrible, who was like a concentration camp guard who was particularly evil and horrifying. But he was accused of that, and he was brought to trial for it in, I think, the 80s or 90s. He worked in Ohio in like a car or not Ohio, was it Cleveland? I think it was Cleveland, Ohio. Maybe it was somewhere else. But he worked like in a car factory for years and years and years with a bunch of other like immigrants that came over after World War II. And he was accused of being Ivan the Terrible, so he was extradited to Israel and put on trial. And it's absolutely crazy because they did the whole trial and everything, and he was found guilty of being Ivan the Terrible and was sentenced to death and everything. And it was just this whole thing, and it was crazy. This is a picture from the trial. And then later it was overturned in the Israeli Supreme Court, and he was set free because they were like, he's not Ivan the Terrible. There's some evidence that proves pretty definitively he was not Ivan the Terrible, because like the Soviets falsified a bunch of documentation to try and undermine like America by implying that they had Ivan the Terrible. So there was like a bunch of things that went on that were kind of complicated. But then later there was this picture found that had a picture of him in one of these units. So the book's title is The Right Wrong Man, and the idea was basically like, no, he was like a war criminal. He was this horrifying dude that did horribly evil things, but he wasn't Ivan the Terrible. So he was the right wrong man. Like, you got him, but you were right for the wrong reasons, you know. But they eventually arrested him, but before any like full punishment could be carried out, he died of old age at like 91 years old. But it's a documentary on Netflix. It's very, very good. Very, very good. But yeah, when I go through a rabbit hole, I fixate on stuff like that, like very, very specific stuff. It's very interesting. Mauer, our justice system is so soft, you have no idea. I mean, the whole court case is fascinating. And then the fact that it was overturned because they're like, the evidence isn't really there that he was Ivan the Terrible. And then later they found out like, I think it was 2009. They found out like 20, 30 years later, oh no, he actually is a war criminal, just not the guy we thought he was. He's a different war criminal. And then they go through the whole process again. But yeah, it's a wild story. It's a wild, wild story. Guys, I told you it wasn't me. Yeah. Netflix doesn't really give the best facts. No, this was a documentary sold to Netflix separately. And it's based on the book. The full book, I think it's upstairs, actually. I don't have it down here. The full book has a lot more details that are fascinating because they go into much more detail about it. Again, a tough read, but if you're interested in that period of history and if you're interested in how they went about finding war criminals after the fact, it's pretty fascinating. Because like literally all of the documentation was lost in the war. So if somebody came in and said, oh, my father's name was this and my mother's name was this and I grew up in this city, that's what you had. Like there were no like records left for them to sift through. And there were a lot of records that were falsified by the Soviets that were sent as evidence of this. And turns out that they were falsified and there was, forgeries and stuff. But again, ended up being the right guy just for the wrong reasons. So fascinating story. Anyway. You see, they think they found who DB Cooper was. They've said that like 15 different times. Like they claim that, I don't know, they've claimed so many different times. Siblings claim late dad is missing plane hijacker after finding hidden parachute in home. 1 in a billion. So they found a parachute. Oh, Richard McCoy. He died in a shootout with the FBI. This guy. And he did other things. He used similar language, but I think they said that it couldn't be him because he... the FBI was fighting in 2008. Oh, wait. So this is... FBI searched the North Carolina complex, found additional clues, took possession of parachute in 2023. So they did all this last year and still nothing's come of it. So I don't know. Doesn't sound like. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's that locked in. Maybe he is the guy, but it doesn't sound like there's a lot of conclusive evidence. Anyway. It would be nice if we had a name to put to that story, because that story is crazy. But it feels like if they had a lot of locked-in evidence, they would have put it out by now. There was even a case of a murder where a 15-year-old, and then around 15 years after her murder, the guy was convicted, found not guilty because they found out they got the wrong guy. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of at least historically, Israeli courts have been very emotionally influenced. That's at least the impression I got from reading that book, was that there were lots of examples of like kind of giving in to the pressure to find him guilty, and then they correct it later with the courts. So like the initial judges give in to the pressure, but then the courts then correct the course. And it's like, seems like that's not a great way to do it. It seems like you should just find them not guilty up front instead of wasting decades of their life, you know? And that to me seems like the way to do it. But okay, let's talk about this. New segment. Caleb, thank you for the 10. My pleasure. However, if you make this a video and you make a buttload, remember this was my comment and I own all the ideas from it. And like Microsoft, I'll be coming for my share. Thank you for the 10, Caleb. I will let Jacob know if he clips that segment for a stream clip. I don't know if he will, if he thinks there's enough there. But if you clip that discussion of Microsoft and Psychonauts and everything, Jacob, Caleb owns all of it, just for the record. Edgar, thank you for the 5. Luke, what did Dr. Disrespect do? I mean, he signed with Rumble. So strike 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, right there. So what's that website? It's like Google that shiz. There's an entire website for that. Yeah. That's bait. That's bait right there. That's what we call bait. Okay, I think I caught up on all that. I'll give you a split, probably. Good, Caleb, good. Thank you. I mean, you do own it all. That's how it works. Let's talk about this real quick. New segment. So, as we all know, Larian is moving on from D&D. They made Baldur's Gate 3, huge success. They made like just under $300 million in profit. Not even just revenue, profit from that. Wizards of the Coast made roughly $90 million off of Baldur's Gate 3, doing almost nothing. So it was a good thing for all of them. But Larian doesn't want to give that big old cut to them anymore, and they want to do their own thing. So they are pivoting off, and they're doing what seems to be new IP. That seems to be what they're doing. They're working on 2 different big RPGs that we will hear about at some point. But until then, Larian is off doing their thing. But that leaves the D&D franchise in the video game space kind of in limbo, because a lot of people now, like, the interest in D&D video games is at all-time highs. People want D&D video games more than they've ever wanted them before because of the success of Baldur's Gate 3. And Hasbro is working on other stuff. We actually know of like 2 or 3 projects that are in the works. Most of these greenlit before Baldur's Gate. So I want to be clear. This isn't like it's been kickstarted just because of this success of Baldur's Gate. But they've announced that following the success of BG3, another D&D game is in production. CEO Chris Cox, Giggity, told Bloomberg that a 5th D&D game is in development, but didn't share what it's about, its genre, or the studio making it. It does appear to be an active production. However, Cox has noted in the same interview that its G.I. Joe game is currently in pre-production. I forgot they were doing this. They're doing a G.I. Joe game somewhere. Somebody's doing it, which is a little funny. But anyway, they're doing that. And this is the thing. So alongside this mysterious game mentioned by Cox, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance devs are working on which are now called Invoke, are working on a AAA game based on the beloved role-playing game. Plus, there's a D&D survival RPG life simulator from Disney Dreamlight Valley developer. What? I had heard of the studio that did Dark Alliance. They rebranded into Invoke Studios, and they are working on a, quote, AAA game derived from the D&D universe that's it's also ballooned their team up a ton. So Wizards of the Coast did reveal that Invoke is planning to up its development team from its current 80 members to more than 200 by 2025, though it's unclear if this full 200-person team will be necessary to complete the development on the new game. Like this, they're pouring a lot of money into, it seems. Expanding from 80 to 200 plus, that's a huge, huge leap. That's massive. So that's one they're pouring a ton of time and money into. But this game, a survival RPG life sim at the team behind Disney Dreamlight Valley. What? Like, that's madness. Hold on, my wife's calling me. I'll be right back. I'll just see what she's saying. Just a second. I'll go on a BRB screen.
Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay. And characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped?
I remember.
It was really cool.
It was.
A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat.
Rat. Okay. Sorry for that. Let's see. Disney Dreamlight Valley. Continuing on with this. I've never played Disney Dreamlight Valley. I think Nikki tried it for a little bit. I'm not familiar with it though, honestly. Like, it's from Gameloft. So I guess they're used to working with big. Oh, they're owned by Vivendi. Wow. Okay. Wait. Michael Guillemot. Oh. He co-founded Ubisoft. I knew it. Dude. What a small world. What a small world. So Gameloft, the logos even look kind of similar. Gameloft, which made Disney Dreamlight Valley. They're now working on, they did Asphalt Legends, Carmen Sandiego. They did Disney Magic Kingdoms and the Oregon Trail. And now they're working on this big D&D game. They were founded by Michael Guillemot, who is, wow. Dude, he looks very similar to Eve because they're brothers. That's so funny. He's the brother of Yves Guillemot, and they co-founded Ubisoft together. In charge of the creation of Ubisoft Studios, he took part in the company's first major production, Rayman. He then co-founded Gameloft, which steered towards the development of mobile games and managed from 2001 to 2016. Dude, what a small world. Just casually making a couple of like multi-billion-dollar companies. Calm down, dude. Leave some for the rest of us. I don't even ever seen someone smile like that. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like once you're worth $1 billion, all holds are off. Like, we get to make fun of you for whatever we want. I feel like that's fair, right? I feel like that's fair. But I've never seen a human being smile like that. I'm scared. I'm afraid. Is it because he doesn't have lips? I think that's it. He doesn't have lips. It's just mouth and then skin. I think that's what it is. Sorry, I know that's mean. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Again, once you're worth $1 billion, I get to make fun of you. Anyway, it comes with the territory. If I'm ever worth $1 billion, all holds are off. Like, you get to do whatever you want. Yeah. But they're apparently working on a D&D survival RPG life sim. It's described as a unique and innovative experience blending survival action RPG and life sim that will test players' skills in an unforgiving campaign set in the D&D universe. It's set to launch on PC and consoles, although no release date was mentioned. This was originally posted in March. Interesting. So it's still probably a long ways off, but this is the artwork that they shared for it. And I mean, I'm sure it's going to be in the same kind of style as what they've done with Disney Dreamlight Valley. Like, it's probably going to be much lighter in tone, but that's interesting. I mean, if it's just a massive like MMO kind of thing, but in the world of D&D, that's interesting. That's interesting. But the point is, they have a lot of irons in the stove, or in the fire. That's the term. They have a lot of pots on the stove, a lot of irons in the fire. They've got a lot that they're doing, and they are working on many different D&D things. But here's the deal. I have very, very little confidence in anything D&D related right now, especially if they are making it in the pursuit of increases in revenue, because they've gotten so greedy with everything they do. It's really, really toxic. Like, I've shown you guys this before, but D&D Beyond, which is now their digital platform for all of their D&D stuff, it is so freaking outrageous how expensive everything is and how they've set it up. So if you want to build a character, for example, and you just want to do like, ooh, I want to play as this person with this weapon and I want to have this armor equipped. If the class was outlined in this book, and then the weapon was outlined in this book, and then that piece of armor was mentioned offhandedly in Tyranny of Dragons, you have to buy each of these things at $30 a pop, $30, $25. You have to buy each book separately in its entirety to get that one thing that you want for your character sheet. If you're going through the actual app. So instead, you have to use a secondary app or secondary system that's like third party, which of course they are frequently like copyright striking and sending cease and desists for, because they don't want you to do that. They want you to buy it through their official books. And it's just really toxic. It's really, really toxic. And I'm intrigued by that because I think that they're not going to magically change their ways with the video games they're doing. I think that they're probably now seeing the success of Baldur's Gate. They're like, oh, people like the franchise. Let's make the most of it and start really milking everybody for everything that they've got. Yeah, they've done some really shitty things the last couple of years. Yeah, they also did this whole thing. There's this whole debacle where they were going to take away, I think it was fourth level, or not a fourth level, a bunch of spells that were in the original player's handbook. And they were just going to clear them all out, and things that people bought for past editions of D&D now were going to be lost forever. And I think they backtracked on it, but every time they get the chance to do something scummy, they try it because they just want a little bit of extra cash, and it's really toxic and stupid. So I do not have much confidence in them doing much of anything. As for the game from the devs over at, it's now called Invoke, was previously Tuque, I'm not sure what it was. But now it's Invoke, and they are working in Unreal Engine 5, big budget team. What's interesting is Dark Alliance like flopped hard, like really hard. It was not well received. Do they have the link to their review? Yeah, IGN gave it a 4. What did they say about it? Was the synopsis. I think if I remember right, it was like super broken and buggy. It's a tedious co-op adventure with lots of goblins and even more bugs. Yeah, just not good. Not great. So that one flopped, but in turn they like are tripling their studio. So I don't know if that was like a response where they were like, we know what went wrong, and then they proved to everybody that they knew what went wrong, and they got more investment and they blew up and got greenlit to do this. It's really interesting though, because typically you don't see a team triple in size after a big flop. Like you don't see that. Yeah. Let's be a bit honest here. There's content sharing on D&D Beyond. You're right. No, if I did not state that. Yes, there is content sharing. So if one of you bought 10 books or whatever it is, you can share that and like make a campaign, and you can share the books with your party members, for example, if you're like in a campaign of like 4 or 5 people, whatever. So you can share that, but that one person still has to buy the full books and buy everything. Yeah. Cool Pandas, Dark Alliance flopped, so they tripled their studio. Yeah, it's very uncommon. It makes me think that they feel like they really are onto something, or they did something that convinced investors to give them a lot of money. But it's going to be interesting. But the point is, they are not giving up. The Wizards of the Coast guys, they are pouring a lot of money, a lot of effort into D&D adaptations and stuff, and so it's just the beginning. We won't get another Baldur's Gate, at least not from Larian, but we are going to get a lot of other games in the D&D universe, and hopefully they learned from Baldur's Gate that players really just want quality first, and then they'll buy your game. That's all you really need to do. That's all you need to do. But yeah. You read that before you read my super chat. I want my money back. Lol. Francisco the Disco, thank you for the 5. You think I could apply for an art position over at Obsidian to qualify to sue if I don't get accepted? He also, Chris Avalon chimed in himself on it. Oh yeah, I did see, we pulled that tweet up. He's just like, I don't work there. I'm not writing on it. Don't bring me into this. Again, 95% of these problems that these devs get themselves in, whether it's the Concord thing where the guy called, I don't know who it was, but one of the employees at that studio called players talentless hacks if they didn't like Concord or were talking down on it. Like, whenever these studios get themselves in that type of trouble, it's like, just put your phone down. Just stop talking. Stay quiet. Like, nobody cares. Nothing good can come of it. Nobody's going to be like, well, I was giving Concord a hard time, but then I saw a developer call me a talentless hack. And you know what? They're right. Like, nobody's ever done that. So just don't say anything. Just don't. Just don't. It's not worth it. It's not going to go well. Last Good Pirate, thank you for the sub over on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. Is that a different watch, Luke? Is that a Holzkern? Yeah, it is a Holzkern. We did a sponsorship with them, and this is the one I got as part of that, and it is lovely. I do very much like the Holzkern. I told them if they ever want to do another collaboration, I'm in, because I love the watch. Love the stuff. I love it. Game will make Baldur's Gate 4. Yeah, or they'll hand it off to like Owlcat or something like that. Like I think they're gonna make a Baldur's Gate 4, but it's gonna be a different studio, and it's probably gonna be a good bit worse. If I were another studio and I was offered Baldur's Gate 4, I would say no, because you're not topping Baldur's Gate 3, I don't think. So I would say no. They might say yes for the money, but I would recommend that they say no. Truly. Anyway, they'll make it VR or a mobile game. You all have phones, don't you? You all have phones. But anyway, let's see. We talked about that. I think we got through all of our stuff. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh yeah, Witcher 3 HD Rework Project Next Gen Edition mod is out. So if you've not seen the improvements, like, they really overhauled a ton of stuff. Higher quality assets and meshes and textures. I've not tried it yet, but seeing that they are promoting a mod from their community, that's awesome. Created by Hulk Hogan, it's the final version of the project, which improves and reworks various game assets, textures, models, materials, and more, and aims to make the game more and more detailed and realistic while still being faithful to the original vision of atmosphere. And then they link it. How refreshing is that? Bethesda, pay attention. They're actually like linking the mods. Yeah, that's way better. Look at the apples. Yeah, look at that. Way better. It's easy to forget The Witcher 3 was a 2015 game. Like, it was a while ago. It's older. Look at that. Oh, baby. Oh, so much better. What's the mod? The mod is the Witcher 3 HD reworked project from Hulk Hogan. So I might have to download that and try it. I just have to try it. I've modded the crap out of Cyberpunk. I actually have a video in the works about the photorealism mods for Cyberpunk 2077, and it's awesome. It's awesome. But I have not really tried modding The Witcher 3 a lot, but I should. Anyway, I think we got through everything, my fam. I just hate how everything is based on a dice roll. That's D&D. That's just how it is. Nothing good can come of it, but I can sort of understand that it kind of hurts if something you spent thousands of hours on gets such pushback. I've been on the fence about them. They look great, but somehow they don't feel like a real watch brand, which is not being elitist. A snobby and elitist take, I meant. I mean, whenever there's like an up and coming watch brand, it's really easy for that. I do think like their thing being including more natural, not natural, natural is the wrong word, but like more unprocessed maybe materials, whether it's like the wood in the bands, or sometimes they'll use like a certain type of stone or granite for the watch face. It's an interesting little hook, and I like it. And the movements are really solid. It's not going to outperform, a quartz watch or anything, but their automatic movements are good, and they get mentioned and noticed by a lot of people. So I like them. And they're not that expensive either. You know, if they're like $2,000 or $3,000 watches, I'd be like, Wait, WTF, when you drop in the Cyberpunk video? Probably in a few days. We did it as part of a collaboration with LG for their new ultra-wide monitor. And so they've got to get back to us in case they have any, like they have to send us the link that we have to put like on the description. And if I misread the model name, then they'll tell me, hey, it's actually worded this way. Say it this way. If I say something like that, that's off. So once we get their sign off, then it will be good to publish it. But yeah, I did a good amount of messing with the photorealism mods. And do I have the, I don't actually know if I have the the clips on this PC. Maybe assets, captures, downloads, OBS recordings, gameplay. Was this it? No. I'm trying to find the clip because I got a bunch of recordings of it. No, that's almost, fam. I'll show you the photorealism stuff because it's freaking awesome. Was it this one? Was it this clip? No, man, where was it? Okay, well, F me. I don't know where it is. I don't know where I put the damn footage. Crap. Probably should know, but I don't. Sure don't. Weird. OBS gameplay. No, yeah, I don't, dude, I really don't know where I put it. That's crazy. I lost the footage. Well, I sent it to Jacob. Jacob edited it together, but anyway, we did all the photorealism mod stuff, and you'll see that in the video. It's a whole thing. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who is here celebrating it. Seiko almost bankrupted the Switch watchmaking industry. You should check out their automatics, especially the Snowflake. Yeah, I do have a Seiko Solar. I wear it on stream a bunch because the band doesn't hurt my wrist on the band, but Seiko makes really good stuff for sure. The Grand Seiko Snowball. Ooh la la. Snowflake, not Snowball. Snowflake. Yeah, lots of pretty ones. Did I vote for the Steam Awards? Not yet. I'm gonna vote for the Game Awards probably all at once, a little closer to the event. I think we'll just do it all at the same time when we're a little closer. That's my plan, at least. Speaking of Bethesda, did you see the new rover? I got an email about it. Drive Ice. No, somebody mentioned that the other day. Because they're like, no, Starfield's really good. There's a new rover. But all the stuff I saw was from 3 months ago when they originally dropped it. So I don't know what people are talking about. I don't know. Podcast with Jor today? No, Jor is on vacation somewhere. Jor ran away and left us all alone, so no podcast with Jor. He's not back until like right before the Game Awards. Yeah, he's off exploring the world without us. He doesn't need us anymore. Doesn't need us. Anyway. Have I checked out Star Citizen lately? IAE is currently on and just released the first capital ship. I have been waiting till it's more stable because I was talking to some people in the Starfield, in the Star Citizen community, some other creators, and they were saying it's a little unstable right now. Maybe wait till it's polished up a bit and it's a little bit more robust. And so that's what I've been doing. He's been grinding the Lego Horizon game, probably. Probably. Anyway, my fam, we are going to be back. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, but we'll be back on Friday, rocking and rolling with more stuff. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I got me a San Martin a couple of weeks ago. That's some real bang for your buck. Ooh, baby. I've opened their page and their selection has gotten more sexy than it was a couple years ago. Yeah, dude, I like them. We're probably going to do another deal with them in like December. So I'll let you know how that one is. We can talk about it on stream. But yeah, I like Holzkern. I really like their stuff. But anyway, much love, everybody. We'll be back Friday, rock and roll. And thank you to everybody who's sending super chats and subs and all that stuff. You guys are crazy. I very much appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving or Thursday. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you live somewhere else. But I'm very thankful for you guys. Never think I take you for granted. You guys are awesome. Go watch the Skeptical Look video I did on Indiana Jones yesterday on the main channel. And until then, much love. I'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.